Welcome, everybody. I guess it is Woo Woo Wednesday officially. Starting it off rather early or really late if you're living my alchemical wizard weirdo life. No, seriously though, it's 5 a.m. Mountain Time, and I was planning on going live at 9 p.m. last night, and this is literally how long it takes to fully put the work in, to organize a stream, to write everything out, to plan it out, to set it up where we're actually live right now on over 12 different channels and platforms, including Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, aka X, Twitch, Rumble, of course, YouTube, multiple YouTube channels, actually multiple Facebook channels, and as well as OdySee and even LinkedIn. It's quite the process, but that's the plan, is making it worth it, getting the information out and doing it in all sorts of practical, easy to share, easy to trend manners. And that's what the title of this stream is all about, in the new, marketing kind of angle, but not just project. And well, what is We at Bees? Well, that's Weekend at BurnEye's, the best of the top 10, and we're going to be doing all sorts of top 10s going forward, and going to try to essentially do it for every episode, making a short the top 10. So of course there's the shorts, and then shorts get published on the reels, on Facebook Reels, Instagram Reels, TikTok Reel, or stories, and whatever they call it, YouTube Shorts, but it's on all these other extra algorithms, I guess is what it's called, and just it gets mass views out there, and becoming a media conglomerate and partnership, but for the right purposes, for disclosure, for development, for moving society, technology, and mankind, earthkind forward. And it's what it's all about. And continuing with Jeremy Reese, Alien Scientist, Tim Ventura, Tim Interviews, and of course APEC, Sound Like a Nightmare. Oh yeah, okay, Sound Like a Nightmare, aka the work that goes into it, not my sound. Am I sounding good right now? How do I sound now that I think about it, as we are 9 minutes in already? So another thing I do often is change the backgrounds and so forth, and that is for the purpose of taking these little editing clips and going forward to the top 10s, and that I make marks during the live streams and then edit into the shorts, into the top 10s. And another part of publishing and going live, and the first episode of a live clip 20-minute segment of the top 10 I published and put forward right before this episode. It's the first step of editing a past live stream, then downloading those edits and publishing those edits, and then deleting it off of the storage of the StreamYard account to make room for the new stream. So it's actually recorded in the StreamYard library. So this is recorded, so I'm able to then edit it and do the same process all over again. But that alone is usually about 2 to 3 hours worth of work, realistically, minimum, because it's like you're going through, you have to rewatch 2 to 4 hour live stream recording, go through, chop it down into these these different video lengths, and get all the sound bites, the clips, publish it, and then delete that. So that's the first step of work involved each time. And then, it's like you're clearing up a past video, but also making more content that we'll then be publishing later this week. But I did do the sneak peeks with the shorts. The video that I made out of it was with Julia Kamen. Shout out Julia, partner with me and Hans Dietrich on our Woo Woo Wednesday series. And hey, shout out, it's Wednesday, so expect a Woo Woo Wednesday later today. And at the end of today's top 10, well, there'll be the Bernie bonus. And did I state rule number 1 yet? If I haven't, rule number 1 of Bernie's top 10 lists is it's not 10, it's 12, because, well, we have our base 10, and then, well, we love the Vortex math, 3, 6, 9, and then the next is 12. 1 plus 2, your 1 and your 2 binary, equaling your 3 trifecta, adding into that. Anyways, point being that there's going to be 12, 10 main points of each list, each segment, each episode, each clip. But then at the very end, you will have the Bernie bonus, where I will randomly come in with one new fact and then just some completely out of left dimension field theory, possibly, if you get the pun. 12th fact or 12th clip, whatever. And that today's main, the hour, the segment at the end that I will be doing the first live going over top 10 list will be of the MH370 Tic Tac UFO, and I call them Tic Tac because they are spheres, they're orbs, and I'm saying essentially that it's the same technology as the USS Nimitz Tic Tac encounters and Pentagon public disclosures of that technology, and that's what was my intuitive genius sort of drawing to Ashton Forbes, bringing up the case of these sphere orb Tic Tac UAP UFO videos of the MH370 mystery, and what gave it credence to give it more investigation. And once you look actually into what Ashton and the whole case now has uncovered, it is truly astounding. So today's segment that we will be recording for the next live clip top 10 list, which will actually be 12, but what I'm saying, we got 10 written down, and then when it publishes, there'll be the Bernie bonus of 2 more. Where is today's list? Here we go. So when I record it, top 10 MH370 Ashton 4 orbs. Case number 1. The videos were originally posted on YouTube, uploaded to YouTube 2014, 4 days after the MH370 originally went missing, and then the second within 2 weeks of the MH370 being officially missing at that point in 2014. So it's not like it's something that came out in 2023 and was manufactured in 2023. No, this stuff was actually put forward, leaked, published on YouTube by an Anon account in 2014, within just a few days, 4 days of the mystery and the original plane going missing. And that alone, for that time frame and that time period of time in 2014, it's a full decade now later, 10 years of development, and now us having this easy AI video creation and fakery and whatnot, where 10 years ago to come up with that sort of fake video would have been so much ridiculous work, and that it's been out there all this time. But now looking at it in 2024 with new eyes, a new perspective, after the Pentagon has done this disclosure of the USS Nimitz Tic Tacs, which are very similar orb-like encounters or craft, potentially drones, and that's what it's seeming like. And so that was brings to number 2 of the top 10. Ashton Forbes has actually tracked down what we all believe, if you're into this case, to be the actual officer, U.S. officer, that leaked these orb videos to the Anon, that published them on YouTube, and that this guy's actually was serving in jail time, I think 6 or 8 years jail, for whatever he was convicted of, which seems to be the officer that witnessed this go down get shocked and make the world privy to what actually potentially happened. Number 3, that it is actually a USG Global Hawk video. Like, it's undeniable. The first video that was 4 days after MH370 went missing, that was published to YouTube, is actual real US government Global Hawk surveillance quality, like legitimate video. Like, it's pretty much undeniable that it's actual government Global Hawk video, like surveillance video, that the first videos from. And then that brings us to number 4 of the top 10 reasons for Ashton 4 orbs is orb case, being that the second video is of confirmed 2 U.S. spy satellites that were that they confirmed were overhead at that point in time, and that were used, and that's the exact type of video that you see in the second video that was published 2 weeks after MH370 went missing. So right there, it's just like the amount of coincidences and high quality U.S. government assets that are confirmed, and a guy even in U.S. jail that was like a high government agent up until that point, and then got thrown in jail for and charged, convicted of putting 2 videos onto the internet. What they claimed exposing national security or whatever, risking. Anyways, point being, we're trying to track him down and convict, or get a. Well, Ashton's actually tried to communicate with the man several times to get a statement, and no contact at all, which is very suspicious to say the least. Okay, we have number 5. And 5, I believe, the strongest in my heart, what puts behind validity into this is Bob Greenyer and all of Bob Greenyer's epic, amazing, work, testimony, science, evidence, and technological disclosure. Pardon me, of the science behind how these work. And we're actually going to play, when I get into the full, I'll play the clips of our last interview together, myself, Bob Greenyer, Jeremy Reese, and David Rossi, being number 6, reason 6, that I also, support the Forbes case. And lucky number 7 has to be Salvatore Pais, another, legend in the physics, like owns the Navy patents to the technology of warp fields, basically, I believe is how it goes. And a former U.S. Navy, I believe, engineer officer, as well as a current Space Force officer, Salvatore Pius, backing the Ashton Forbes MH370 case. And then, the Vesuvius Pisces, is that what it is? Anyways, the Infinity Loop, we gotta loop back to the alien scientist Jeremy Reese, of course. And I was talking with Jeremy last night, earlier, today when I was depending if it's Woo Woo Wednesday or still last night, Tuesday, when I was with Jeremy for a bit on his Open Lines catastrophic disclosure live stream, and we were discussing the Ashton Forbes case, and Jeremy specifically bringing up the differences between why he publicly supports Ashton Forbes and the videos and the actual strings that can be pulled on that will actually yield government results, physical actual evidence inquiries, real stuff that can happen from this, and investigations of actual evidence that the government holds and can bring forward and actually be used against in this disclosure, in this case. And yeah, you got it, brother Chris Shipra. Pack 100%. XRP, the Phoenix will rise, and cryptocurrency, baby. Let me tell you, that's going to be a big part of 2024. Already is, and we're just over a week into the new year, and well, the gains are good, and they're going to continue in crypto. But so are the games. Like Gary Gensler, the head of the SEC, having some games or parody pulled on him supposedly today, with his official government SEC department head X Twitter account being hacked and fakely publishing, stating that several Bitcoin ETFs had been approved by the U.S. government SEC board, which it apparently had not. Speculation that they are going to pass at any point, but that this was a hacked fake announcement. What are the odds of that? Just spoofing the market with the government official Twitter accounts, and X doing an investigation publicly stating that it was not due to their servers that this hack happened. It was solely on Gary Gensler's personal lack of verification authenticity measures of his personal device getting breached, supposedly or officially. Oh yeah, baby, XLM, little brother of XRP, the two crypto banking coins. And yes, they are they represent major U.S. And international banking in projects, but they're the new age, as well as new money, as well as utilizing the old system to bring in the new. And dollar average, and I personally hold, I believe, about a 5 to 10% overall crypto holdings in those two together, and then also probably Hedera and Cardano making up another 10%. Solana, I believe, makes up another 10 to 20%. And well, that's a discussion for another time. I changed it to bear there because is it bear or bull? You never know. But Josh over at Project Moongold, he does know, and we're gonna remove the Alchemist's minions there, and we see a space targagen bear, whatever the heck they're called. Anyways, is it a bear? Is it a bull? I don't know. But shout out to Josh at Project Moongold, Daily Crypto TA. I'm gonna be doing some more work with him in 2024, and well, big things are still to happen. Quant as well. Actually, yeah, I probably 3 to 5% of my holdings are quant. Shout out Quant, another one. And you always want digital gold, Bitcoin, BTC itself. Shout out to Mike Faraday Research, my man. And top of the list of Free Energy Fridays is my brother Mike at Faraday Research. Why can't I see your comment on one but not the other? Son of a gun. There we go. Kaboom. Yo, yo, my man. And yeah, so back to the top 10 list. Finishing with the Ashton Forbes. We were at number 8. Number 9. This one is everything when it comes to MH370 Diego Garcia and the Forbes case, the freaking high technology being utilized potentially to try to get that plane to Diego Garcia. Well, as a possible test place, there's no other place in the world for secret black ops, first time experimental usage to run a freaking operation out of than Diego Garcia. And either way, that's where MH370 ended up. And that Ashton Forbes, regardless of what the final outcome of that case is bringing public pressure to the government to investigate MH370 and Diego Garcia together. Just that aspect alone needs to be put forward and utilized, as well as the whole Tic Tac UAP drone, our technology, our government, or potentially breakaway sanctions government, parts of either government or corporate entity that are committing tyranny against us as a whole, even though they're a part entity of the overall ruling structure. They're actually abusing everything, including the government, and giving the government a bad name, potentially, what seems to be the case. And well, top 10, reason number 10 why I give the Ashton Forbes Orbs MH370 my legitimate belief is that when Ashton brought up the point of Don Lemon, that CNN freaking spook, everything he has, he had fear in his reaction when they're in this clip. And I remembered seeing it at the time, back in 2014. And it was that on this Before It's News website, beforeitsnews.com. It's been up forever. But yeah, they were covering it, and then on the story it was a link to both a Don Lemon clip of being it went into a black hole, this live clip of him on international TV saying that it was taken by aliens into a black hole. And that also below it were the two original videos, the same videos that Ashton Forbes has now brought back attention to and used as the central original evidence of this MH370 Tic Tac UAP Orbs case. That I myself watched it back in 2014 a few times, and back then brushed it off like, yeah, right. They hijacked it and it went to MH3, or it went to Diego Garcia, and that's a whole other piece that needs to be investigated and well discussed in an episode on its own top 10. Actually, Diego Garcia and the Jim Stone investigative journalist. Top 10 Diego Garcia MH370 list. That needs to be done and will be done, because my, I don't even know if it's still on the internet, but we will bring it up in the Wayback Machine. Don't you worry. And shout out Jim Dillinger in the chat, my man, as well. Love you, brother. Great work as always. Did I hit the wrong button? Am I still here? Ooh, okay. I'm still here. I didn't exit out. We are 32 minutes exactly in. On CNN, Don Lemon on CNN Live. I know. And I love, here's reason number 11. Out of left field, Bernie bonus. Why I support Ashton Forbes, and it is he came up with the term CNN brain, and it's the CNN brain drain damage that I give Forbes credit for, and that quote alone, just that's your left field statement of. With that sort of thinking, I love it. Like the guy's on point. He's got reason within him. Shout out to the Forbes, Ashton Forbes. What a play of words. It was meant to be. Is that Bernie's reason 12? I think so. Let's move forward. We're wrapping that segment up. All right. Put a 1 2 12, aka don't put a 1 or a 2, put a 1 and a 2 together in the live chat. Put a 12 if you liked the first live episode, full Forbes top 10 list of the top 10s. Next segment up we are now going to do is 2023's top 10 list. Ding, 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 ding. I need Certus with me to do the sound bites. Like, he's got the board. Anyway, be a real podcast with actual sound effects. Oh, sound effects. But before we fully move on, let's end that Forbes Orbs list segment with a little clip that I wanted to play of Ashton earlier today, that him talking about some certain information that, if confirmed, is just, well, it's the top of the brass of the MH370 Forbes technology, or Orbs technology teleportation just operation, and the guy that would be and is apparently still in charge of it now in the private sector. So let's see if I can get this going. Yes, I think I can. Oh, I absolutely love it. I clicked to a video, and the first word, all right, now that I actually have it set up to share, I paused it so that we can start off with a little bit of an understanding of what he's about to talk about, or what we're looking for. And yes, free energy and free energy Fridays. that makes it to the top 10 list of my heart of the projects that we're doing. And Mike, if you're still watching, this Friday we got to get a free Energy Friday going and planned, and if not this Friday, next Friday, because I also am doing the Freestyle Fridays, and the first episode's going to be coming up with Jeff Holohan and my brother Cody Tkach, two freestyling hip hop legends in Western Canada, well, in North America, really. Compete, both champions of King of the Dot at times, as well as, I believe, some other championships. Anywho, got off track there. Point being, Freestyle Fridays as well as Free Energy Fridays. I want to alternate every 2 weeks, so we got to do some planning, Mr. Mike, and set up the full live streams, because Mike over at Faraday Research just doing awesome work, as well as in the community and hosting these Friday live streams on Free Energy in the community as well, on days that I'm not able to make it. Still getting her done on your own channel, and we got to integrate it just to take it to go live on all channels and continue it going. And much love. All right, so to the Forbes part. My gosh, we'll just let it play for a minute, and then I'm going to try to find that specific parts with general that I wanted to find.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. What should we work on, guys?
All right, context. Ashton Forbes, great researcher. In last night's stream, in his stream last night, he described himself as a architect or an architect. Oh, what were the words that Ashton used to describe himself? It was a building, no crap, something archivist. Oh. Anyways, let's just play this out.
Guys. What do you guys think? Any shout outs here? Let's see what all these Discord messages are about. This one. Oh, yeah. This is interesting. So, Jeremy was just talking about this. I wonder if Jeremy is out there, you should probably look at this. This apparently is what it's all about resonance, right? Resonance, which is, and that's what we're looking at here, is we're looking at like magnetic field lines. You create your toroid here, right? Here's your positive and your negative. Now that I'm looking at this, this is a toroid. This is an electromagnet we're looking at here. You coil the wires around it, right? And then this is what your magnetic field lines are going to show up as and look like. And then you have this focus point right in the middle. And it's all resonant, right? Where all of these things, the shape, all six of these converge, and you're going to have things that are going to be counteracting one another, fields that are counteracting one another. It's pretty weird. This actually is, huh? Now that I'm learning more and more about this, it's interesting. What was this? There you go. Gravitational diode. Huh. Notice we always see these toroidal shapes everywhere. I would never have believed in all this stuff with shapes and what have you, but it does seem to be key. What was that again? Yeah, everything here is about resonance. I I would say try to avoid the term sacred geometry because it gets too much into the woo guys. But talking about stuff like toroids shapes, like people who aren't into the spiritual aspect will be able to understand that. Yeah, he was just talking about this an hour ago. Like, yeah. And here's your entanglement right here, right? And so, all we got to do is scale it up. I wonder if we should make a post about this. We probably should. I'm already getting tired. Okay, let's close. Let's leave this. What the aliens look.
And the system is corrupt.
I only say this because I've already said this before, although it's a little bit scary to mention. But I did not get the shot. You guys, so I'm not sure. This one out. Yeah, so EBO scientists, if you're curious, tomorrow we'll go over that. Definitely a low Earth orbit satellite. I'm happy to help any. Actually, this is good. This actually fits. I mean, wow, man. I looked this up and I go, holy crap.
All right, there we go. So I found the spot. General Joseph Dunfer, and yes, he currently works the head department of Lockheed Martin. Let's listen to what Ashton has to say. And this is why I love Ashton. He's very parallel to Jeremy Reese in several ways, like just his ridiculously hard, dedicated work each day, just streaming hours doing research, like the ridiculous amounts of real research, real scientific method, and how he archives and like collects and builds like just cases. It's astounding. Anyways, apparently someone came forward to him claiming about this guy right here, General Joseph Dunfer. Let's listen to what Ashton has to say earlier today.
He got promoted to the highest ranked military officer. Well, what do you think he's been doing since then, guys? Any guesses in the chat? What do you think he's been doing since 2019? Any guesses? Oh, there he is. Director since February of 2020. Retired U.S. Marine Corps General Mr. Dunford has served as a senior managing director and partner. Previously, he served as the 19th chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff until his retirement. He's on the board of directors at Lockheed Martin. Board of directors at Lockheed Martin. Hello? What? I mean, come on, man. This is just, it's too on the nose, man. It's too on the nose. I was already sitting there saying we're looking at Lockheed Martin orbs. And then I'm going, wait, this guy became board of directors at Lockheed Martin? Board of directors, who are we? Leadership Governance Board, board of directors, Joseph F. Dunford. I mean, wow, man. So I post this and the post takes off. Like, keep in mind, this is back when I had like 5,000 followers, and it gets like over 100,000 views on Twitter in under a day. And I posted it because I was freaked out because I had called the FBI and the FBI was acting sketchy. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to post this. I had been sitting on it because the source had come to me and he says, keep this in your back pocket. Like, don't post this right away. And so after that, I posted it because I'm like, screw it. I'm not hiding any more information. This is too nuts. And the next day, the source messages me and begs me to take it down. Begs me. I post all the conversations with the source because I like to be transparent. Like, if I'm being lied to, I want to have it all out there, right? The same way why when I was being scammed, I streamed it all so that people could realize, like, be transparent about this is the best thing you can do. So I posted all the conversations I had with the source as well. And in my replies, you got people like, oh, you burned your source. You burned your source. I'm like, dude, I don't care, man. This is too big. It's like way too big. So the source was begging me for like a day and a half take it down, take it down, take it down, take it down. And I'm like, why would I take it down? Like, I'm sorry if this hurts your relationship with the nephew of the general, but like, it's just too big, right? Like, what? That's not going to get somebody killed. It's just your relationship with the nephew. And then I started to realize like there might be more going on here. Like this person might actually be in danger for revealing this information. Maybe they are the nephew, right? Maybe they're also in the military actively, right? And I have these messages still I could show, but I'm not going to at the moment. So I did end up deleting it. I deleted it. This is the only post I ever deleted related to the investigation. Only one. The Joseph F. Dunford piece. And just to prove it to you guys, I think I still have the original that I made. Let me look. Oh, no, I don't. Do I not have it? Oh, yeah, I do have it. Okay, guys.
All
Just in
right.
case you don't believe me.
As you can see and gather just from that bit there, like he just documents, he does nonstop work and he's recording it, making it all public. So, he's got nothing to hide. He's doing an open public investigation, and that is the real reason why you should listen to the case that he has to build and make your own decision off the evidence of that, right? That's all I have to say on that. Of his latest updates, and the Joseph Dunford, like, wow, if that's true, that is something else. But what I did want to play a bit of, just it was what I created with them last time. David Rossi, alien scientist, Bob Grenier, and Ashton Forbes and myself. 2 weeks ago, and just what Bob Grenier had to say in that episode was just astounding and amazing. And I'm gonna finish this segment off with the live clip from that. It was right around Christmas, and what a Christmas gift it was. So by the end of January, I am gonna figure out how to get the stupid YouTube subscriptions so that stops. Maybe it'll boost me in algorithms. One can only hope. Hey.
A minute. It looks about the right kind of divisions as the alien reproduction vehicle, so-called.
Can you hear it?
It has 48 capacitor arrays. And what I didn't know until we started modeling these in 3D is that you can maybe fit up to 51, but to have the fields with their double layer not interact, 48 is the maximum. And it produces the maximum stability. The gravity waves are trapped inside, according to the concepts of the other guy that I talk. I have a video of him in this presentation talking later, called John Archibald Wheeler. So, and basically, where you look whether the toroid of the toroid fits on the rake angle of the ARV, the safe zone where the people will sit is within the safe zone of the Vesica Pisces. And it's the only place you can have a biological entity. And you also can't have the biological entity in the center, because that is where the flux of
all right, so I paused it right here for some context. And Bob Grenier's just so amazing, so influential in my life. One reason being this bagel coil we have here, and it's a coil within a coil within a coil, a triple solenoid, and I instinctually wrapped and made several of these over about a decade ago now, maybe over a decade. I've got to figure that out. Anyways, 2024. But that's the bagel coil. In 2024, we're going to make transition from year of the coil to year of the super field. And the super field is what is created by these triple solenoid coils, these triple fields, the coil within the coil within the coil. And that's what creates this exotic vacuum object, the EVOs, the plasma balls, the orbs, which Bob Grenier believes that these bagel coils essentially create the orbs, the plasma orbs, the ball lightning. Shout out to Gerald WPG Enlightened for Truth. My man, what a psychic connection. Literally, I saw your comment, your old comment, but your comment in this Bob Greenier stream, and I was like, oh my God, is Gerald live? Is he in the live chat right now? Is he here with us? I was so stoked, and I was like, oh no, that was just Gerald in there. And then it was like, within a minute, there's Gerald live chat right now. How are you? Morning, brother. Love you, Gerald. And we got to do a real science. You're the super field. Transitioning from You're the coil. Free Energy Friday. Get together with Mike Self and get the updates. And let's start testing these bagel coils, creating some super fields and creating some ball lightning. Let's hear what Bob has.
Neutrino waves go through, and that would cause decay of your carbon-14 in your body to nitrogen-14. It would smash up your DNA. And it's a very sweet spot. If you move slightly out of that safe zone in the ARV, basically your matter would just go, And so there was some guy at a Tesla conference after I said this some time ago, and he says he was brought in because he was a Tesla coil winding generator expert. And he said they were brought in because some of the field generators that they used on the ARVs were failing, and they would end up with the passengers turned to mush because the central point that goes through is not balanced.
Okay, so there you go. Biological matter turned to mush. What a sync to the very first top 10 with Julia and Solar Marshall that I published earlier tonight. Review of Danny Berkshire and the story of time jumping or portal jumping and an alien called J-Rod. But one of the things he talks about is experiments they did, and that biological matter, including humans, turned mush, and the potential that this experiment with MH370, well, maybe all of the passengers turned to mush. I don't know. It's a story for a little later.
And the way you operate it is very, very simple, and it matches exactly the control method that's described. On each of the 48 capacitor banks, I think you've got 8 individual capacitor plates. And by changing the phase angle on those, you shift the toroidal moment, so you vector in different directions. It's incredibly simple. It completely lines up with what the ancients called the flying disc of the sky gods.
So it's like a steering wheel. Then is that what you're saying? Is that we can figure out how to?
You've got a phase relationship, and that changes your phase singularity and the flux of the gravity wave through the core of the center, as described by John Archibald Wheeler in the phrase that the section I have in this presentation of him talking.
Can you leave that back? Go back one, Jeremy, to that. So where's the safe zone? It's not in the middle, you said.
No, the safe zone is like where you've got the arrow on the basic paper from Javerbliss. In his 1995 paper, it's kind of a roundabout where the 2 loops meet on the top and the arrow comes out. That's basically the safe zone. And the ARV has its rake angle such that it's able to influence the phase relationship on the substructures of the 48 substructures. It's really rather trivial. I said to a particular person who knows John Hutchison very well recently, I think we know how to build a replica of the ARV, and so, you know, and anyone following the work will know implicitly that this is just fairly trivial. And because it creates this separate space-time bubble, you can go in multi-mediums. It doesn't matter whether you're underwater, in the air, or in space. It will travel essentially just as fast. Because in local space-time, you have basically the same flux of relic neutrinos, and so on this boundary, it doesn't matter what you're interacting with. It just goes through it. It's not important, and so you don't. you kind of need to, if you look at the ARV, it basically has a diving bell with standard air seals. And so all you need is oxygen, but you don't need anything to go through the atmosphere, because the spun up structure, when these structures will spin up, they will go through, like, you won't see it, then it'll go low frequency red, and then it will go through greens and yellows and blues, and then it'll go to UV, and then it'll disappear. Like, so that's how these things will appear as they're spinning up the non-radiating boundary.
Interesting. Yeah, so
Yes,
I mean,
the
it
safe
seems
zone
like
is
it's really just all
exactly
about
where those
geometry, right?
chairs are, according to the sacred geometry. It's not approximate. It's exactly there. And that is the only option in this structure. Now, you will have some problems possibly with experiencing time and consciousness. And so the way you get around that is to generate your own relic neutrinos, so you have a local consciousness. It's like having an offline hard drive storing your data. You're not affected. You're not connected to the whole conscious field. But it could very well be for you in that space-time. Once you've used up the ether in that local space-time, you start to lose conscious, and you also lose, you literally not only lose perception of time, everything freezes. So when you see in your so-called disappearing plane thing, let's assume that happened.
Okay.
What it does is, because what is time? It's the relative change of things. What causes a chemical reaction? Well, it's an interaction between electrons, between something being oxidized and not yet oxidized. Well, if you change the way an electron can behave, you stop the chemical reaction instantly, right? And that's exactly what happens inside this structure. So when you put this,
So what Bob just stated right there is, just as an alchemist and my electrolysis work, and literally everything that you do in monoatomics in this electrolysis reactions, and the intention or prevention of having an oxidized reaction in making these metamaterials is so crucial and key, and that I'm literally experimenting and figuring out all of these different insane ways to and to not do it all, and just in parallel with the relevance and importance of it in this technology and Bob's work and all of it, and it's just coming together, and looking forward to 2024 and so much more.
Structure, as it's getting to, it's changing that epsilon zero, the ability of the electrons to do a chemical reaction stop, and that goes for a signal going in your brain, producing toroidal moments in your brain, and a signal that's causing your heart to move. But you don't die. Time just freezes. Just freezes.
I think Einstein would argue, though, we just have a different frame of reference at that point, right? Unless those systems
well,
are
the
somehow
time is
connected.
progressing very, very slowly, and to you perceptibly, it's not moving at all. So basically, it doesn't actually matter with this technology whether it takes you 10 trillion years to get to the other side of the universe, or you get there in 5 milliseconds. Because for you have one blink of an eye, and it's effectively you've teleported. The rest of the, you know, Sol might have gone into a supernova by then, or a red giant. Doesn't matter. For you, you've literally done a blink of an eye. So it doesn't matter whether you're going fast or slow. The time will stop for you.
Yeah. The scary part, though, is there'd still be a time dilation effect on the outside, though, right? So you can show up in the future.
Normal time travels relative to the local time, based on the gravitational flux of the relic neutrino condensate through the matter. So you basically, like, let's say if you were using this technology on Earth, you could go into this device and sit in there for 20 years and come out, and you wouldn't be any older.
Yeah. But everybody you knew would be 20 years older. That's the downside.
So everyone
right?
you knew would have aged. They would have progressed through with time at 20 years.
So this is weird, because it reminds me of the whole Nazi bell and it was called originally Project Kronos, I believe, which is time.
Oh, well, I didn't know that, but of course that's why you would. You could park people in there; they could live forever. Effectively, they'd have the same normal lifetime.
So Hitler could be inside of a bell.
Is he still alive somewhere? Yeah.
Did
Guys, we gotta go find Hitler
or something. I
don't know. Is that verified or not? I don't know.
Jeez,
it's not like we had DNA testing back then, or maybe we did.
But it's crazy. You mentioned the perovskites. It says that one of the perovskites was barium titanate, which we know is was written on the board in the 1950s by the Bunsen Labs experiments with Thomas Townsend Brown.
I didn't know that, but I rest my case.
So they were into this stuff back then. A number of people visited that lab and that archival footage, including Bryce and Cecil Dewitt, who were they were the team that ran the secret Chapel Hill anti-gravity conference for the government, where Richard Feynman attended under the pseudonym Mr. Smith.
Sorry, hold it, stop there. Magnetohydrodynamics, vortex, anti-vortex under the center with the flux going through the center. That's exactly the structure I've derived from physical experiment. Literally on that image that you see there, I've not seen before. What is that image?
That is...
We need to Google that.
What is that from? I think that's actually from Brown.
It's actually Thomas Townsend Brown's... Oh, I rest my
Thomas
case.
Townsend Brown.
I don't need to see anymore.
So...
Bob's ready to go deliberate. The jury's ready.
Yeah,
I think we're long past that.
It's real, we've decided.
Dean Rickles did a great history, and he also did an awesome interview with Lewis Witten, who worked on. He was part of another gravity group that was trying to research researching all this amazing stuff. It goes into the whole history. He's of course the father of Ed Witten, who's one of the founders of string theory and a giant and considered a god feared by many, like including Eric Weinstein. Said he's one of the few people in physics that I fear, and that's Ed Witten. So yeah, Lewis Witten. Check out
this guy is the guy that did what you just showed on the other presentation or whatever it was you just had up.
Yeah. This is the guy that Dean Rickles. He was there behind the scenes and wrote this whole paper about the history of this conference, which was basically classified and not well talked about.
To me, we're chewing the fat over something that's obviously implicitly true, right? And it should be obvious to anyone. I've just seen that image for the first time, and it's literally saying magnetohydrodynamics, and it's literally got exactly the vortex, antex, vortex with the flux loop thing going through the center. There you go. There, done.
That's
exactly what I show multiple times in my presentation.
Ballistic electrode, incandescent cathode, the circulator pump that circulates this ion plasma around this toroid.
You know what that is? It's charge separation with hydrodynamic shear or magnetohydrodynamic shear. Literally, I specifically say magnetohydrodynamic shear, right? And there you go. Everything is on that page. Who made that presentation? Is that you or what?
I put this presentation together. I've shared this a lot on Twitter and other places. This is my summary. I basically put everything in here that I find that I link stuff together. I'm gonna actually try to butcher your presentation if you don't mind.
Oh well, it's free to use with credit, of course.
This is great. Yeah, I'm going to. Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna link back to the source. I'm very careful and good about that because it's always important to just show people. Yeah, I got this from legitimate scientists working on legitimate experiments.
There you go. Hold on. Go up to the slide above. The one that you just had.
Yeah.
That one. Magnetohydrodynamic vortex there. That is it. That's what they've got their space shot based on.
Right. It's these geometries which
there's only one solution in the universe, and it's literally in your face.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Like if you want the answer to how to do anti-gravity, or I would call it propulsion, it's in your face. Everyone has a perfect manifestation of this in their face.
Yeah. Okay. So this was great. Lewis Witten, oral history. He was interviewed by Dean Rickles and Donald Salisbury. This is great. Lewis Witten says that he was recruited by Lockheed Martin Company. All right. So this was This was Glenn L. Martin Company. This was back in the original days.
That was Lockheed Martin, huh?
In 1949, Witten was hired by them to work on remote control drones. In 1940, like 47, 49. So like when Roswell was happening, this guy was working for Glenn Martin Company.
Well, Nikola Tesla himself had made remote control, like boats, submarines, all sorts of stuff.
He also said in his 1911 interview in the New York Sun newspaper, using the application of this principle, we will create a flying machine the world has never hitherto seen before, which will have no screw propellers or control surfaces, but will be able to carry any weight and fly in any weather at fantastic speeds.
Amazing.
That's in Sun, New York, 1911.
Damn.
Guys, if you just tuned in,
100 years ago.
we're here with Bob Greenier. He's from the Martin Fleischmann Memorial Project on YouTube. I'm, of course, the alien scientist here on YouTube. We're here with Bernie, the crypto alchemist, and of course, Ashton Forbes. So if you just tuned in, this is the panel. We had Mike Rossi on, Dave Rossi on here earlier with a number of other people that couldn't join. Unfortunately, we're trying to get John. We were trying to get John Hutchinson on here, but I don't know if this.
I just emailed him again, so we'll see. And I saw he just posted a couple of videos on his own channel, so I commented there. I was like, "Hey, Bob, check your email." So, or Bob,
Yeah,
John. Thank you, Bob, for being here. And I'm just gonna run upstairs, get some boiling water to put some salt in, and then I'm actually gonna hook one of those triple coils into just a 5-volt electrolysis reaction. So we can see that, and that's what will be between Bert and Ernie there.
Yeah.
But well, just only 5 volts. I think we'll be fine that way. We won't destroy the world or open a chain reaction of.
Yeah, we don't want to open any vortexes, so the interdimensional, portals before Christmas.
I want
to see Bernie disappear and
Mist.
appear like in our future, just as we're about to meet our maker. Then we know what happened.
Right.
Well, you can tell your kids that this is how Santa gets around to all those houses in a single night.
Oh, that's the plan.
So
must be teleporting.
That's it.
I just want to open the portal to another dimension and have the demons come out and then play out the movie The Mist in real life. Except for the end scene. I don't know if you guys seen that movie. It's really dark.
But you bring that up, though. There's
game.
always the rumors of like the demons in the red, in this infrared, and then like the aura and like in the ultraviolet sort of thing. But then it's like the human visible light spectrum is literally infrared, from infrared to ultraviolet, and then you have like 97% of the rest of the EM wave out there, light wave out there. And then Jack Sarfati talking of the red-blue shift. Bob, can I get and him saying that had to do with warp and stuff? Do you have an opinion on the red-blue and what the red-blue shift is in regards to any of this, Bob? Or
so what I can say is, if you go to the 2018 Sochi presentation by the guy that leads the cold nuclear transmutation and ball lightning weekly meetings and semi-annual conferences, Zatalepin, he talks on the physics of rotational bodies or something. It's on the MFMP's website. So if you type in rotational bodies and Zatalepin, it shows that in both natural ball lightning and in artificially synthesized ball lightning, it's spinning so fast you get a red shift on one side and a blue shift on the other. Right,
just so like we saw in Ashton's videos there, right? And it was forming that yin yang. I think.
Okay.
Like
no,
that.
well, I mean, the structure that I see in is the same thing as the Aalto Finland University spin orientation.
Your patients really trust you.
Do you trust me?
He's experimenting on people. We have to figure out a way to stop this guy.
Edgar Ramirez and Mandy Moore star in Dr. Death. All new Sunday at 9 Eastern, only on Showcase.
In the synthesis of a topological monopole, right? And so the difference you change, it's actually like a mushroom cap. And that is when the spin inversion occurs after the monopole in the center of the overall topological monopole. And if you did a slice through that, it would be the Finnish Ukonofsara, the Thor's hammer. And that's the bit that does the changing, in my view, of epsilon zero, the space-time dielectric metric. Okay, so that does the magic, and that's what you would always have at the front of the structure. And there's a gravitational beam that goes all the way through, because the relic neutrinos, they can be interacted with by gravity, and they, according to Bob McElrath of CERN Theory Group in 2010, they are the model of gravity that is supported by the standard model, right? So the relic neutrinos go through, but because they can be pulled through and anti-pulled through, depending on the spin. They can go through, whereas the ordinary matter and the baryonic matter and the electrons get trapped at the phase singularity. Okay, so that is where the core, magnetic core of the monopole is. And so this gravitational beam that goes through, on which they are traveling but also propelling themselves, when you're doing that, making the plane disappear, it doesn't matter which orientation they're in. Okay, if you listen very carefully to exactly what is said in this presentation by John Archibald Wheeler, it's only when you link their gravitational waves that they then pull together. And what that does, when you get the three orbs, and you need three because only three defines a plane, right? If you have two, you only define a line. And because you need the azimuth of the three to go precisely and perpendicularly through the center of the three, you have to have three, because then you can control
to do the volume.
I don't know about the fourth. It's not necessary. You create a macro cluster, and you use the same technology that you use to move the individual ones to move the collective fractal that's on the level above that you just synthesized. So what you would do is you would have phase conjugation beams, which is just 180 degrees out of phase electromagnetic waves, as per Tom Bearden, which I actually have that also in the presentation, Tom Bearden talking about that. So it's 180 degrees out of phase. You can look at his Oblivion book or his Third Lance book. He describes it very clearly. And then when you have the phase conjugation beams, let's say from your satellite or from your ground-based stations, you then cross those beams, and that causes scalar wave interferometry. And at the interferometry, you basically have a node that you can move around as fast as you can move around the two beams by orienting them from the satellite or ground-based stations. And because they are scalar waves, they can interact with the orbs, because only scalar and vector potentials can penetrate the outside, right, and interact with it. They can energize it and cause it to be on a node between the interferometry crossing point. Okay, and it's all clearly described in Tom Bearden's book. To me, it took like 5 or 6 years to understand what Tom Bearden was going on about, right? And he'd been writing this since the 1980s, right? But I only got the book, I think, when did I first get a Tom Bearden book? It was in mid-2017. Someone said, this sort of stuff looks a bit like what Tom Bearden's talking about. I go, who's Tom Bearden? So, yeah, so that's what you need. And then if you listen to what John Archibald Wheeler says, is you need to get those to, when you've got the azimuth going through the center of the body of the plane, and it's directly perpendicular to the plane that's described by the three tors, you then need to arrange the tors so the gravitational waves link up, and that will create a new gravitational vector through the center of the plane. That will pull the tors in, which will increase the gravitational vector, which will pull the tors in further, and it's literally like that. When you link those up, it's an inevitable level, and it will go to the next fractal level. And at the same point, it will switch off the chemical reactions. It'll switch off everything, because you're changing the way the electrons behave, and electrons are everything that causes oxidation, right?
I feel like
so
just real quick on that. So the direction of travel, I mean, how are we? It feels like, are they being pulled backwards in this? Like, it almost looks like when you look at it, it's being pulled backwards. So you're creating that plane, right?
You would need to track the relative positions per frame of the video that's taking this. Now, I don't know. So, for instance, so I think some people criticized it because they said, oh, it looks like the outside of the plane has been cut and pasted in a few frames. But that's because they're not looking at P and B frames, which is ways of encoding video information from your iframes, right? Your keyframes. If this was pure iframe, you wouldn't see that. But when a P and B frame is, they look at either the previous frame and look at things that change and only change the things that change, right?
Here's to 60 years of loving hockey. Together.
Playing hockey, because that's what Canadians do, eh? Because I'm just a Canadian, eh? And that's what they market to us, apparently, as national hockey something or other, eh? All right, so that's gonna wrap up and conclude the section of the MH370 top 10 there. So we're gonna continue on. We're gonna change the subject to something a little bit more more happy. So let's continue on. And shout out to Gerald, WPG Enlightened for Truth 2 in the chat. And sorry, everyone, the biggest chat room is on YouTube right now is on the Crypto Alchemist channel. And then I have it simulcasting to BurnEye, Mine's Third Eye, ScienceGuy YouTube channel on 2 separate live streams right now. Shout out to Chris in the stream labeled what's going on with Lloyd Austin? Did he get harmed in a secret covert ops trip to Kiev during the New Year holidays? Was there a negotiation that ended in a Russian Kinzhal strike with the injuring of Lloyd Austin? As some of the Russian media, alternative media, is claiming and speculating. And if that is the case, wow, are we ever close to World War III? That would be why it's not being publicized. That would be why they're instantly demanding his resignation. And that right there is, well, it will be proven in the coming days and especially weeks. Why has he not made a public appearance? It's been over 7 days, 10, going on 10 days. No public pictures, not even a picture, yet alone video footage, especially like live press conference you'd expect. The head of the Pentagon, Chief of Defense, like of America, like, are you effing kidding me? And now they're saying he's fired due to not disclosing cancer. But even with cancer, it's like still you think it's like we will see, I guess, right? Like if it was cancer, the most you'd expect is a week or two before like at least like photos would start being leaked of him with cancer. But if it was a missile strike, that they're not going to have pictures because there's going to be a lot more reconstructive surgery, skin grafts, potentially casts. Who knows, right? What sort of injuries, the surgery that would be taking place in a recovery of that magnitude and horrificness. Prayers are with him that that's not the case. And if it's cancer, man, hope the guy speedy recovery. And even then, that's just such negligence on an acting like Pentagon chief. Like you're literally dying of cancer and you haven't disclosed this to anybody. Very, very suspect, to say the least. Clown world we live in as we start 2024. It's backwards land, I guess. Shall we continue? All right, so back to some top 10 listing. Real science, man. That's number one. That's what we do. We are alchemy, adept alchemy 101. That's that's number one as well. But no, that's number two, I guess, in this list. And number three is alternative history. As an alchemist, ancient history is not what we are told. So we love on the Crypto Alchemist to go into the crypto, the esoteric, the occult. And that's the going to be the next list that we're covering right now. But before then, what was I going to play leading into this? Come on now. Silly channel. All right. Bernie's getting together. pyramids, megaliths, geoglyphs, giant faces that you can only see from above, from space potentially. The Alberta Medicine Hat Badlands sites that I've seen, investigated, close to me, gone to on the ground. There is one heck of a list, many lists, but alternative history, that's what we're covering right now and diving down into. So, for this moment right here, I'm going to hand it number one to my man. Carvings. Right.
And what's interesting is that as you see the
Right.
angels playing the game here.
And shout out Julia. My sister.
Ooh, I like that.
You were saying the pieces were calcite, and then like
Yeah,
there's
this is a dominant calcite material here, and then it glows red under the black light with the phosphorescence.
Does the other one glow blue? The one that it's playing against?
No, it's a green.
Okay.
But I guess
red and green. That's Steven. Wow.
every piece has unique symbology, and it's.
And that one's
The way
made
I
out
looked
of
at
what?
these things, it's like, man.
The one that glows green is made out of what?
This stone here is it's a flint stone, and it's high in calcite and quartz.
Okay.
And that's what a lot of these pieces here are made of.
I paused there for a moment. Shout out to the Flintstones. Yes, the Flintstones. Fred, my dad, and Fred the farmer, my wonderful, loving father. Shout out to Fred the farmer and Barney. Well, I guess it's Barney, BurnEye Rubble, and the Flintstones. And Julia. And our number one spot of alternative history year in review 2023, Mike Alien Carvings. And I was talking to Mike earlier tonight. Later this week we're going to be doing a new episode together. So much to do, like he's got some chemical analysis dating tests results getting back, as well as on the mummies and so much more. So my man Mike, the glow in dark Mexican ancient alien artifacts. Well, let's take a little look-see.
Out of it's all this flint stone, and they all have phosphorescent reactions. Some of them have luminescent reactions. Like you can see this here. I'll show you. There's really nothing you can see on the surface. It doesn't have any thing that looks like it was painted on or anything by any means. When you hit this thing with the UV, it glows blue and green. It's crazy though, interesting slab of stone. It's still glowing.
Which piece is your favorite, Mike?
I mean, it really just depends, because it's like saying which fruit is your favorite, or something of that nature. It's hard because good fruit can be good of all different kinds. So there's such a variety of these type of pieces. It's really hard. I like the jade stuff though. Holding it, at least, little pieces like this are awesome. This piece here is really, really special. I think we talked about this last time, actually.
Yes, sir. If you want to go over it again, though, like each one
this is like a
story. They're just mind blowing.
It has like a resemblance to a jed pillar in Egyptian type belief, because it's each one of these little things is spaced out, really interesting. And it's a triangle. Let's see if I can get that to focus. but the energy that this thing puts off is just absolutely unreal.
One of those things you can only like experience, right? Seeing it, like hearing someone else's story, but like until you actually hold it or in its aura, the energy, and experience the energy, the feel of it, I know what you mean, my friend.
There was like 10 things all wrapped up in a box when we unopened these things, and they were all shrink wrapped. And I knew which one this was before I even opened it. Like it just had, I don't know, it's crazy. You just feel it in the room. It just vibrates at a whole different level. But this table that was found here as well, you can see over here. There we go. Oh, yeah, there he is. He's holding it in his hand there.
Like it's every single one is an original piece, and that you're like collecting all parts of like just an entire set of history is absolutely insane. And that you truly do appreciate what you have, and that your goal is to one day to be able to get it all studied and into recognition and stuff, right? It's just,
yeah, exactly. Yep. I hope to make a gallery or a museum, because right now the museums and galleries won't hold this stuff. And, the room that I'm in right now is really not a great place for this type of stuff. I mean, it's not set up with the right type of fire, security, and all that stuff.
That looks like one of the wristwatch things that they wear. And then you also have the baggy things that they are holding. And it's like, wow, if you actually acquire like a full set of this ancient alien demigod technology that we could somehow activate, like, my God.
Just makes me wonder if they were mimicking something that they were, that they witnessed or was exposed to, and this was their version of it,
Yeah, is it the version of it, or is it actually what's being depicted is the question. And then you also have this thing, it's a lot of it's calcite and things. This calcite similarity is really kind of crazy, because we have calcite inside of us, and it plays a really vital role in our spiritual consciousness. So the fact that all these pieces are so dominant in that, and this pine cone is shown, being held and utilized almost like pointing to people's heads. Same with the Ankh in Egypt. There could be something to that. The Stone Age is a pretty odd time.
Is that a jade mask?
It is.
Wow.
Right? Like it's identical to the one the controversial one in China that's like got 1,000 of them that look just like that. It also looks Olmec, like it's just wow.
Yeah, I hope to get this carbon dated, because it's got adhesive as well as this wood, and the wood will obviously tell us a very, very vivid picture. I don't have very many wood specimens at all. In fact, this is the one of two that we have. So I'm going to actually set this over here so you can see it. But the way it's put together is just, oops, sorry.
And sorry, where were
the eyes? It doesn't go through like to where you could see through the eyes. Like
no, it's wood, and you can see it's got like there's like blood or something here that's all dried, but you can see it's very discolored. This mask stunk so bad when I got it. I couldn't even keep it in the house, and it just literally made everything stink. Your hands touching it, it was the grossest thing. It doesn't stink anymore very much, luckily, but
it's like probably a death mask, eh? Like
no. I mean, the story that goes behind this thing is, in Tula Hidalgo, there's a property there that a farmer owns. He's a potato farmer.
Sorry, and that's where all of these are from, or of the majority of what you're showing right now. And
yeah, Tula Hidalgo, which is where the pyramid of Quetzalcoatl is where the Atlantean statues stand, and essentially the property. There's this heritage site, and it's got a big concrete fence that goes all the way around it. And that's the border of the pyramid and the site that the government, takes as heritage. So outside of that is farmers' property. They do potato farming, and this potato farmer, when he would till his fields, he would find pieces, and he turned them in for years. Nothing ever came of it, and in fact, they called him a liar and said that he was making them and that he needed to stop. And it really pissed him off. And so he gave permission to Gen 6 to come in and do GPR and georadar, and they found all kinds of stuff. And inevitably, they found multiple tombs on this property. Some of them go all the way down to the 14-foot level into the ancient bedrock, and it's absolutely crazy to see, because there's aliens and angels and this type of depiction, Anunnaki type depictions carved into this bedrock. And
Now,
but the tomb.
And I know it's shocking for those that are like, it's too good to be true and that it's nonsense and stuff. And like, that was Mike's original like reaction to it, and like all of ours, it's like, it's just
Here,
it's too
for
good
the
to be
for the
true, but,
fluorescent
like,
glue guy here. I wanted to show. Here's the piece with the black light. There's obviously no fluorescent glue here.
and the fact that for those that are just seeing this and hearing this for the first time, like Mike was the one that discovered that these things were all like glow in the dark, UV reactive phosphorescent, and had been buying, and you had owned how many of them at that point for like a year or two, and like the guys you had been getting them off it were completely unaware of it up until that point.
Yeah, this was the first one here that had any luminescent that anyone knew about or was able to discover. And down here, this one actually has enough oomph that you'll watch here when I turn the light off. It just takes normal light and you'll see it. And so that was the big giveaway. And on the other side of it,
I have a question, Mike. Did anything like negative happen to you? Because I have like just in the relic world and things that are attached to things and everything. I was just wondering if anything, you had any paranormal experiences after getting specific pieces or feeling spiritually attacked or.
No, I haven't. But the gentleman who filmed the documentary, Jesse, he absolutely has had quite amount of stories and documentation regarding
is he
this.
Is he the one that goes in and gets it? Because I feel like there's things that are sacred, and there's things that when you're the one to like grave rob or do that, you're toying.
It's just like King Tut's tomb, the curse of the pharaohs and stuff. Yeah, I mean there's a lot of conspiracy regarding that topic for sure.
I feel that too, and I also feel that you treat them with the utmost respect and intent there just to discuss. Well, my thoughts on that is I 100% agree with Julia, and like oh man, that's risky business. Being the individual that removes these artifacts, especially grave artifacts, if they potentially have curses, especially if one's got ill intent with it, disrespects the artifacts, if they are indeed, especially ancient demigod or alien technology mixed with magic, supernatural power, but godly technology potentially could be involved. And these stories, legends of curses, have a much higher degree of reality within them, especially if one's belief and understanding of God and creation and angels, demons, and jinns, throughout the different faiths. They all explain their understanding and experiences with these entities and how it intertwines to our third dimensional realm, the good, the bad, the duality, that binary yin and yang, electromagnetic creation and destruction side of universal creation and decay. that is existence, that is structure, that is all, and our third dimension of time, space, reality, but also that comes to consciousness and free will. So it's not just good and bad, it's also you and what you think about it, what you think to do, and how you act. Is it with ill intent? Do you feed the demon? Or are you an angel? Do you help others? Is it the love of giving that you build your community? And Mike, is that right now, brother Faraday Research? You can join. Gerald, well, should I send you guys, email you the links right now? I can do that. And yeah, so shout out to this Mike ending our first spotlight of alternative history research and the bananas discoveries. The banana discovery of Mike at Alien Carvings. It's literally freaking bananas. The stuff that he's got coming out of Mexico and Peru. And it's, well, it's next level stuff, and it involves elongated skull folk. It involves little Peruvian supposed extraterrestrial mummies that were featured in the official Mexican government alien Senate investigations and hearings. And look at that right there. Mike has one of these potential ancient bio at the very, see, like that right there is freaking bananas, man. What Mike is holding right here, because even if it turns out to be just of a megafauna from the Younger Dryas time period of like something that's been extinct for a long time, but there's a lot of comparison to a potential cow skull or piece there, but that it is completely different in many ways. We discuss with Mike, but that it's from the same dig site. It has the same glow features, and it has extremely different bone marrow, biological cell structure than anything that we're familiar with of this time period that we live in now. So it's like that artifact there, whether it's alien or not, that it's looking like it's actually a legitimate pre Younger Dryas, aka like pre-Atlantis catastrophe / megafauna / aka giant, or times of Noah or Sumerian King's List, or however you want to see it, that is what that could be, and that Mike with Alien Carvings is willing to give us samples from those specific artifacts that he owns, that we can legitimately get carbon dated, tested as life form carbon datable artifacts, which if that can verify right there, 12,000 years, rewrite history, those artifacts are all legitimate. That would be one heck of a 2024 disclosure, and it's friggin' bananas. So that's enough of Mr. Banana for now. Enough of that, and let's move on to the next topic, and then we will get to a new top 10 list, which is the top 10 list of We at Bees, Weekend at BurnEye's production series, real science. That's number one. And we're going to get Mike and Gerald hopefully in here right now. I'm going to send them links as I play this clip. And we're going to get some real science going on with that Free Energy Fridays. That's number two with the series that we do. Number 3, Year of the Coil, aka Year of the Super Field that is now turned into. Boom, right there. And then Woo Woo Wednesday, that's later today because it's Wednesday. Shout out Hans Dietrich, Julie Kamen, who clip we were just playing in, and that's another top of the list, Julie Kamen and Hans Dietrich, Woo Woo Wednesday, that we do. All right, so I think that was number 6, and it's time for break. Well, I gather my thoughts and get these gentlemen the link to join. So, what the heck are we supposed to be playing here? My goodness. How many hours do I put into getting things organized, and you can never have it all lined up properly? All right. I guess since it's loaded, we're going to play another Julia Cameron, Woo Woo Wednesday partner, sister, and Solar Marshall. It was our New Year's special 2023 and 2024 live stream, live clip top 10 list edit that I just published before we did this live stream right now, as I explained earlier in this live stream on the process of having to edit a video to be able to delete it, to make space to record this current live stream happening right now, and all of that. This is the first top 10 list live clip edit of the new top 10 list live clip edit series and branding that we're doing with We at Bees, Weekend at Bernie's interviews. All right. Solar Marshall, Julie Cameron, myself, review, Danny B. Burish, and his story that seems to be, if the original legitimate, potentially Bob Lazar experience and story. Let's take a listen to the top 10. Top 10. Oh, I guess it's
all that glowing in the dark. Okay, well, Dan Burish saw these crystals like glowing in the dark up in the mountains in Nevada when him and his wife Marcia McDowell
in '94, banging our heads on the wall on how to accomplish this. We tried everything from micro dissection of cells. Of course, we're talking about internal versus external cytoplasm. Well, I will. But we were trying very crude techniques to arrest the cell's development, and we finally got to the point where we said we needed to know more. Well, they weren't forthcoming, but ultimately, in 1993, we were informed. In late 1993, we were informed that, in fact, we were dealing with an extraterrestrial, and that the extraterrestrial was housed inside of the same facility, about a half level down at the end of where we were standing. Rings, their orientation, the energy running through them, position of the barrel, etc. Because you can raise the barrel up on an armature inside the center of it. All come into play as if you have an onion with the various layers of the onion. As you move through the different energy levels, you also move through the different layers, so you get different bits of information. Now, imagine an almost infinite number of layers overlain in comparison to the positions of the rings, and an almost infinite amount of energy that you can add or subtract. Tuning it up, tuning it down.
Well, it sounds
instead of going up by 1 hertz or by 2 hertz, maybe by a thousandth of a hertz, up and down. The technology is not being used at all right now.
Okay, but the reason it's not used now is because of where we're going into the galactic, the plane of the.
As of about 2017, I would expect probably that all of these little pieces of equipment will probably all get reassembled. Yeah.
Turned back on.
Oh, sure.
2017. That's quite a while.
2016, 2017.
Oh, not until then.
Probably not. The so-called cycle of catastrophe or season of catastrophe of Falconelli, the time period from, right around 1992 to right around 2012, right around that area. While we will have passed 2012, we really ought to get through the entire cycle, which is about 1980 to about 2016, to feel confident that the interpretation from the timeline from the future about their own catastrophe is not off by a few years. We're talking about 45,000 years or 52,000 years respectively. We have difficulty understanding what happened 2,000 years ago. And we're talking about 50,000 years here. So it's very wise for them to wait.
The looking glasses are now decommissioned, but also the Stargate technology.
Yeah, they're decommissioned, and the Stargates and the looking glasses, I'm sure they're all in their little mothballed containers and all of that. And they have been separated. The three components of each have been separated and moved to different power structures, diplomatic and military authorities on the world.
51. The one jump room, there were several of them. A lot of them were located in colleges. Have you ever heard of the, oh man, what is his name? It's
Andrew Basiago?
Yes. The attorney. He's the main jump room guy. What do you think of him?
Dude, he's one of the him and Osmanagich were supposed to be speaking at this conference, and so I was like, oh my god. So when it was like, hey, do you want to speak there? I was like, absolutely. I was geeking out because I wanted to meet Osmanagich and Basiago because everything Basiago said, it really, hit. They say when people speak truth, you hear it in the voice. Like it's not even necessary. Right. Sometimes
he doesn't
what they're
seem
saying,
like he's lying to me
there's
either.
Certain voice, like literally, the DNA hears the sound and the sound resonates. Like it literally hit. Like you resonate with it on like a DNA level.
Yeah.
And so, and when Basiago spoke and Osmanagich, like it hit hard. So I was like, I gotta. I want to hear more, but and that's the thing. And I've talked about this before on Bernie's show and stuff, where all these different people, it's getting harder and harder to find it. But these testimonials of these people that are like, look, their parents was part of a project, and they have to. It seems to though, because I'm seeing this pattern where there's someone in a project, a military project, and in order to access these jump rooms or these portals or these wormholes, they have to hold the hand of a child. And the
jump rooms, aka portals. Portals and jump rooms. My goodness, that is something else, and that is not that wild of a discussion happening since Danny Burst, obviously. And, the more you look into it, way before him even, this technology has been suppressed. It is demigod, it is godly, who knows, alien, all of the above, and it is in our hands for a long time, or the military hands, or human hands of some sorts, and it's in all of the holy books and the stories of the ancients, and, also apparently aliens named J-Rod. Mike, Gerald, I finally sent the link there. Anthony also sent the link to you. Good Williams, sir. We will continue on while we wait.
Going to group, and I was like, what? And I couldn't believe what he was saying. And then he gets on this helicopter and he's still talking in the phone. But then when that thing starts winding up, it was way too loud. I couldn't hear anything. And then eventually we got cut off.
Wow.
Yeah. Eventually we got cut off.
What was your conclusion of like speaking to him? I know we'll dive way deeper into this, but your assessment of speaking to him, what he had to say, what you revive. I'm talking about picking up on like what you perceive.
Was he being truthful? Is that what you're saying? Yes, and I don't even hesitate to say it because the thing is,
Hello. Welcome, Gerald and Mike. Good morning. It is the crew of Free Energy Fridays and Real Science. Faraday Mike and WPG Enlightened for Truth.
Morning.
Starting a woo-woo Wednesday off. How are you, my friends?
Trying to make the day productive.
Alive, but not awake.
Yeah, I'm on temporary layoff again, so yeah, I got time.
Me as well. Me as well. To be honest, it happens too often, but here we find ourselves and agreed that let's be productive and make the best. Gold, purple gold, water. You still doing your structured water, Mike? And Gerald, have you been doing any experiments with structuring water and your coils? That's Mike first. Sorry about that.
Structuring water at this moment? No, I'm working on something else. I want to structure the water in your body while you're standing there. I don't want to structure water to put in your body. I want to structure all the water in your body. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
I'm basically working on a chamber that you stand in. So, some interesting stuff. Rather than the med bed, it's like a med chamber, if you will. But again, I have a lot of work to do.
Field chamber, if you would, per se.
Yeah, you can put it that way. Because there's light involved, there's sound, there's electromagnetics. In fact, there's plasma involved, which is an interesting... Wait until you see how all this comes together. It's freaking awesome.
I love the sounds of it already.
Yeah, I've been working on this for about 15 years. So I'm getting to the accumulation now where I can complete it. What's up, Mike?
Mr. Wilhelm Reich here.
Well, I don't know about that, but I definitely am using a lot of his data.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm using Raymond Reif's data, and then you go to John Bedini when he was working with I can't remember the name. I think it's called an RX box. I could be wrong on that.
The RPX.
RPX. It was about producing those sideband frequencies in order to heal the human body. And then him and his brother are, of course, passed now. So how do we know? Don't know. But it's something I'm working on. It's interesting.
Yeah, a lot of people have dabbled with it. A lot of people don't
I
realize.
love all of those names and their work that you're
Another
working.
Another guy that everybody should really look into, and I'm actually reading some more stuff on Nathan Stubblefield. Like, this guy was so far ahead of his time that people just didn't know what to make of what he was doing and didn't take him seriously. He was the real first guy who created radio as we know it today. He was before Tesla, before Marconi and all these guys. This guy was the godfather of, the wireless telephone.
He definitely understood coils. Have you seen his Stubblefield coil?
Yeah.
It's almost like a pyramid form. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah. So these founders, a lot of people don't realize that a lot of these founders are so far. These guys were so far ahead of their time. Like, even now, we're just starting to understand what these guys were onto, and we're still not there yet. These guys were that far ahead, right?
See,
it's just.
I have a theory about that, though. I don't think they were so far ahead through experimentation. I think that there was a couple of them that had access to a library where this stuff was already working from the history, but locked away from people. And they were able to access it and by each one of them seeing bits and pieces, then the experimentation. You know what I mean? So as they progressed, they were already standing on the shoulders of 1,000 men, but they didn't tell us, making them sort of like celebrities, so to speak, right? So
maybe where that hidden technology, were they able to stumble on this information? That's the question.
I believe they did. I fully believe that. There are libraries even in my city that if you had the right access, you could learn things from our history that you wouldn't even imagine. Bernie knows what I'm talking about. Those libraries they're not hidden. You can access them, but you have to have access. And there's so many different ways.
Well said.
Well, knowing that they actually exist and know where to go. Yeah.
And I fully believe that all that information is there. Nikola Tesla, he was a genius, but at the same time, did he just come upon all that stuff right away? If you look into who he was and who he hung out with, he had access to things Freemasons could have had access to, or other groups.
See, a lot of people don't know. Nikola Tesla was at the Stubblefield farm, and that's where he came up with the idea for the radiant energy collector. So
he knew Einstein. He knew all those guys.
Yeah, Steinmetz, Einstein, all those guys he knew. And Stubblefield, he was at his farm. There's pictures of Tesla standing there at his farm. So even Einstein was there. Even Einstein was there.
Stubblefield was known to be an initiate. Do you understand what I mean by that?
Exactly. Like the
that's
apex presentation of the Twister being the 3rd degree initiation of Twister and vortex mathematics and geometries. And it's like, what?
Well, their whole basic symbology, it basically tells you about vortex energy, but half of them don't even know what it means, and the other half that do aren't going to tell you. So it's very interesting.
No,
that's
they
why
can
they write.
use it to cast spells upon you instead.
Well, that's why academia did its best to get the vortex technology out of academia, to get it locked away, right?
Yep.
So
absolutely, and that vortex technology directly accesses the human body because of the way that our cells work. So
it accesses everything.
If you go back in history and you look at the kings list and how some of those kings supposedly lived 20,000 years, and your brain goes like, really, that's impossible. The human body would degrade. But now picture this. This is just a thought. Okay, so as a thought experiment, if your cells are breaking down slowly, and that's what creates age, if you could regenerate those cells daily, like say sitting in a box for 15 minutes a day, or you sit and have coffee and you're sitting in a certain room for 15 minutes to a half hour a day, and your cells become re-energized to the point where they're not degrading for that day, you would pause or extend your life, so to speak.
Yeah, I think that's what Wilhelm Reich was really after, kind of, the fountain of youth, right? So
yeah,
a lot
I
of
believe
his
so
work
too.
is based on that.
Don't get me wrong, I don't want to extend life. I'm not going to say I can't wait to die, but at the same time, I know what happens after, and that's just as interesting as this tech.
Yeah.
So it's a thought experiment, right? But if it was possible, it would allow your superhuman healing ability that we are actually given to be accessed, and it would almost be a daily thing. Now, don't get me wrong, you could still get into a car accident, break your arm, die from the accident itself. But as an everyday aging process, it could be paused. If it's true.
I believe that totally 100%. It's like, you walk outside and you get hit by a bus. Well, nobody can really control what happens to you in the 3rd dimensional reality, but your life force still exists even after you've died physically in the 3rd dimension. You're just transferring over.
Absolutely. Yeah. I could tell you a story about life after death. I've been there, so to speak.
Well, a lot of people have had those experiences. So
yeah, a lot of people have. You're the total sum of your experience and your life and everything you went through when you die, right? So when I came back from death, so to speak, it was like coming, like when I came back into my body, it was like going through layers. There was one layer was pain, one was fear, one was hate, one was anger, and then I was in my body. But all those feelings don't exist on the other side. What's that, Bernie?
I forget the guy's name. The 7 layers of hell or whatever it was, like coming back through the different.
Dante's.
Yeah,
Inferno?
Dante's Inferno. There we go. That's what it is.
I never knew the details on that. I should go back and read that, because I'm just speaking from experience. I wrote it down when I was 16, and I've had it ever since. So
that's amazing, right? A sync worth checking out. Relate it to your own experience and just the parallels and.
So on a different topic, when it comes to tech, have you guys seen Joel Agassi's recent video?
Yeah,
on his solid state generator. That circuit.
I have not, but I would like to. Can you post the link or play it?
I definitely will dig it up here. It's interesting. He uses this. How do I put it? He uses 3 batteries in order to charge. I got to show you the circuit.
It's a Tesla switch.
Yeah, it's a Tesla switch in real time, so to speak. It doesn't use relays, though.
No.
Let's see here. I'll dig it up for you. Sorry, it's taking me a bit. I'm looking through my history. I should probably just type it in.
Oh, good, my friend. I feel you on that. It takes a minute sometimes.
Okay.
7 layers of hell and 7 layers of hell. And that is correct, Jim Dillinger. Thank you. And Dante's.
So where do you want this link here? I guess drop it.
Post it in the private chat, then I'll be able to click on it and open it up.
There you go. It's interesting because I use part of this circuit already, and he adds like a 3rd battery to it, which I haven't tested yet. But it's an interesting circuit. So big shout out to Joel Agassi. Awesome work, dude. If you're listening, and you should be. Yeah, it makes you wonder if you could interface a high voltage
figure out what the
step up generator through the way that he's got this
full on without using too much voltage. And
you have to go a little further.
It's not enough at the same time.
16 minutes in, he brings in that 3rd battery, or 15 minutes in. Depends how much you want to get into this.
Out, you get 0 here. So
go back a little bit.
You don't get an actual. It's actually partially isolated over here, even though it's part of the.
Sorry, Gerald. I should let you give a pretext and not make you fight with the video. What were you saying, good sir?
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to fight with the video. Maybe go back, say 30 seconds, where he's explaining that little diagram that he's got his pen on right now. He gives a pretty decent explanation about it. Yeah, right about there.
We're going to add internal resistance a little bit anyways. So you're actually going to be counterproductive versus just running 2 batteries. And the reason that works here, plus to plus here, minus to minus. So here we have our minus plus. We have our light here. But the difference is the light is going to see the potential of this one here and this one here. So it's going to be 9 plus 9, which is 18 volts. So it's going to see 18 volts. And because they're all assuming brand new at the same voltages, the plus and plus here, negative, negative, they're the same potential, so they cancel each other out. You get 0 here. So that's why you don't get an actual, it's actually partially isolated over here, even though it's part of the circuit, because it doesn't contribute the current in the traditional sense to the system. So now you're probably going, aha, I think I see where he's going with this. So back to our system over here. Let's add a third battery right here. This is 9 volts cell right here. But what we're going to do is we're going to go plus here, minus here, and we're going to connect it to this system right here. So we're going to go plus is going to connect with the plus here, and the negative is going to go ahead and connect with the negative here. So essentially, you know, as far as every system is concerned, this one here is running this one here is running this here. But now that we have this system, we want to take advantage of it, right? So we're going to change a little bit the way the circuit goes now.
He makes
so
a mistake
what we're going
right
to
there.
do is we're going to run it off the 3 batteries is actually going to be what gets pulsed. So our plus here is going to be this one here, like I actually had it. I don't know why I did that, but okay. And then the negative, instead of being this one here that it's pulsing, we're going to disconnect this negative here, and we're going to go right to the negative here. So you see now, this battery only is running this at 40 mA. We're really breaking the symmetry, folks. Tom Bearden would really be proud. This one here is running, well, it's not running anything directly, actually. It's just part of the 3 batteries series configuration. But the high voltage module is now connected to this one and this one. It sees the 2 battery, it ignores this one. It sees 0 here. But again, we're not dumping the load here. We still have the 90 volt discharge. So what are we going to do? We're going to put our plus here. It's going to charge the battery right here. The negative is going to dump, into the second battery. I can do better than that. I want to confuse people here.
Saskatchewan is home to some of the highest quality and most sustainably produced.
Bernie.
Good old Saskatchewan. Hey, boys. We got just a few Canadian farmers with us today to start this out. What was that?
Oh, yeah, eh? Take off, eh? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, what he was saying there, I've built the circuit and I'm using 3 12-volt batteries. They're all 100 amperes. And I have a step-down transformer that comes from the 150 kV high voltage module. And then it goes to a step-down and then to the battery. I haven't tested it. I built it yesterday. I finished like 9 o'clock last night. So I'm going to test it. And if it works, I want to show it off on Friday.
Heck yes. That's the perfect Free Energy Friday project.
Well, if it works, do you realize what that does? What that does is actually, it's a miniature version of what you're using in your house. Because you're sending 150,000, 200,000 kV down your lines. Now you're sending a lot more current, don't get me wrong. But the way that they split it with your pole pig in your house,
yeah,
I can explain it once I've tested it to make sure that it's correct.
Well, yeah, they got 40,000, actually 46,000 going on the poles, and then when it hits the transformer on the pole, it steps it down.
You're
It's
talking about the ultimate life hack, aren't you guys?
What's that?
talking about the ultimate energy life hack, aren't you?
Something like that.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a huge step down. The reason why they use 40,000 volts going through the power lines is because you can get huge distance. Okay, so with
Yeah,
that
with
40,000, well, a lot less current. You do almost need very next to no current, because when you got 40,000 volts going through a step down transformer, when you go from a large wind or a very high turn winding, and you step it down to a large thick wire with fewer turns, it steps down the voltage, but the amperage increases exponentially. So
Absolutely.
technically, through the actual power line itself needs very, very little current. That's why the wires are so thin. Now, if that weren't the case, the wires would have to be so thick, it would be, not practical to actually do it. And that was the problem that Edison had transmitting DC power. His cables had to be so thick, but he could only get 1 mile distance of transmission, right? That's where the AC. That's where AC won the war, right? Is because you need a lot less wire to do it, and you can transmit, basically infinitely with alternating current. That's why Tesla won. So keeping that in mind, with this experiment, he's taking a high voltage potential, he's stepping it down and increasing the amperage. So whenever you step down, you lose voltage, but you gain on the amperage, and then vice versa.
And because of the way he's got this circuit, it distributes the power to all 3 batteries through that one. It's crazy. I love it. If it works, and I believe it does, everything Joe Legacy's
If it
brought
works,
out so
it's
far
giving you a
tested.
3-for-1.
What's that?
If it works, it's potentially giving you a 3-for-1 free-for-1.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you're tripling your outputs.
Yep.
All right, let's listen to the rest of this. 3-for-1, free-for-1, free energy Friday. We're gonna
Everything Joe Legacy has brought out, I've tested, and so far he's been dead on. And I think that's why he gets attacked so much, because he's been right so far.
Yep.
Guy's great. Gotta have him on, Bernie.
Yeah, I've been trying to get him
The
on.
minus is charging the second battery. So the high voltage at 90 volts is charging this battery here. So this totally breaks how it would work in traditional electrodynamics, because you see what's going to happen now is, as this battery here starts increasing voltage, it may read 9.1 volts, while this one here or that one here, let's say the first one drops a little bit. Whichever one is lower, which is really cool because this is automatic sensing, regauging without any auto compensator circuits. It's just doing it with nature, basically. So what I'm getting at is, now instead of seeing 0 here, it's going to see the plus whatever 100 millivolts, and it's going to start distributing that into this battery or that battery. So it's fully isolated, but it's not, you see? So now these 2 batteries are going to be able to charge. See what I'm getting at? It solves the isolation issues of sending it back without having to worry about transformers. Let's say this was a Bedini. This would work as well with the Bedini setup, which is really interesting. Now, if you want to take it one step further, this is a little bit more complicated because it's a high voltage module, but let's say this is actually a Bedini. We'll call this Bedini instead. Bedini. So we're using a traditional Bedini here. What's interesting with the Bedini is the way the wheel works and the magnetic pulse. It's not an auto self-triggered system. It needs that pulse to start it. So you actually get a pause in the input current. So what I'm getting at is the Bedini motor also switches your CEMF. So all you have to do is on the plus side here that's feeding the Bedini, you had an additional transformer stage here with L1, and here would be L2.
Tunnel thing on traffic. He also tweets a lot. Elon Musk, right here.
Commercials.
And I've shown this in another video.
I think we're good on
And
that
you're
one.
also,
though,
and if you want to get really creative, use resonance, tune to your frequency, even add a reactive stage if you want to put a capacitor in there as well. C1, so now you've got an LC circuit that's also increasing the potential from the CEMF trigger. So you're really, really taking every system here and recycling it. And then the output of this can be then rectified with the help of the diodes back to DC, which can then charge. I'm running out of space here. The first battery. So now we have a system very similar that Bedini's later motor with the hub edition, the hub motor he called it. Every battery is getting hit with an incredible amount of power and using hardly anything. We've created a very non-linear system. We're doing asymmetrical regauging and we're breaking the symmetry like Tom Bearden's doing. And we're doing it by using very little input trigger just by the, this is very ugly. I know if you wouldn't follow me by now, you wouldn't know what all this means. But my point is, you've got 3 batteries and you've got a system inputting high voltage in all 3 now. So we're recovering the CEMF, we're recovering the back EMF, we're using reactance in some cases on both sides to increase those potentials some more. And I haven't even put in the one-wire system yet as an additional system. So we're really using the environment to provide the additional energy flows and using a little bit of traditional electrodynamics, but with a twist. So again, I just wanted to put the information out there, and essentially I have the little Bedini fan motor, which basically really sucks. I hate to say it, but it shows the demonstrations, but it doesn't beat the bike wheel and the multiple coil system. But if you have any kind of half-decent Bedini system, I really don't see why this system here wouldn't be able to self-loop, and you'd have to end up using the load eventually on an inverter, because it's very much like the Bedini condition with his last Ferris wheel system, where we're essentially not letting any of the 3 batteries go below 9 volts, and we're also using reactive in the system. So we're there's a lot going on here, folks, and it could only work, And of course, those who want to experiment more with the Bedini have talked about additional systems. Instead of running a fan blade, drive electrostatic discs and use the 150,000 volts for another system with displacement current against inert ground. And those we've experimented 90 volts, 100 volts, and a couple millisecond capacitive discharges at 22 UF or more. You're going to get a lot. If you, the trick, folks, is to integrate several systems together. You want to recover the back EMF, the CEMF. You want to introduce as much reactance as you can in the system to increase the potentials at only the cost of the internal resistance. Again, it's not a free lunch, but we could work on efficiency. And with that said, what's a bonus of the reactive stage is what I've talked about. Batteries that we're doing any kind of output work don't like to charge at the same time. So by deliberately messing with the phase, we're able to space out the input and the output pulse. and the reactants being 180 degrees out of phase. Again, we're just using natural systems here to help us without making it too complicated. Just let nature do it for you. And this battery configuration, if the second one here has any higher voltage than any of the two, it'll pick it and start dumping its voltage and current in that battery without affecting with the rest of the circuit. This is exactly what we want to do. So that's what I meant, don't poo-poo all over it. I'm going somewhere with this. And this is what I wanted to show you. No isolation issues, but, a lot to swallow here, I understand. And with that said, folks, always looking forward to your comments and suggestions and ideas. Let's collaborate and talk about what needs to be said and what we can do to improve our systems. At some point, I would like to show this system, but I have yet to reproduce the real Bedini. Even the bike wheel one would probably have a good chance with this. So have yourselves all a great day, folks.
Whoa, buddy. Try the A&W Spicy Dill Pickle Buddy Burger for just $3.99.
Bernie's banana is slacking.
Bernie's bananas.
Hey everyone, this is going to be a pretty different video from what I normally post.
Hey,
If you're from
Bernie,
the
you
Flat
there?
Earth realm, you know what this is about. If you're one of my regular viewers, I'll fill you in as quickly as possible.
Maybe not.
Last week, I posted a video about how we know the
You
Earth
left his
isn't
banana
flat. This was
behind
really
and-
just to reinforce and contextualize
Not
some lessons
cutting
from earlier in my astronomy playlist. I figured I'd get a few trolls, nothing major, but instead the entirety of the Flat Earth community descended upon it with a vengeance. The YouTube channel
Exotic
Busters
propulsion in the
informed me
house.
that they were going to be deconstructing my video in their weekly live stream, and they invited me to check it out. I didn't really
Bernie's
know what to
probably out
expect. I
having a
thought there'd be
smoke,
some
doesn't even
degree
know
of
this is
dialogue
running.
or exchange. There
Probably.
definitely wasn't. Everything they were saying I was discrediting in real time, and they were acknowledging none of it. On top of that, they were extremely rude to me, so I had to
We
respond simply as
apologize
a
to
point
the
of honor,
audience
and that's
for
this.
these
So let's
technical
begin.
difficulties.
I'll start with the only valid criticism you had of me, and that is that
Host is in the
I
toilet.
misrepresented your model.
Oh, there it is.
Bernie's back from the banana trip.
About that, gentlemen.
Love that stuffed animal, Bernie. That rocks.
Bernie's new mascot.
Because
the
the,
rock.
world is going freaking bananas, man. It's
You got a
going
Rastafarian banana, man.
It's going freaking bananas, and it is a winter vortex outside. Let me tell you.
Yeah, we're supposed to get hit tomorrow night.
Oh my
10 to
god, it's not fun. Let me tell you, it's true Canada out there.
Yeah, winter's here for sure. We're getting minus 23s now.
Oh,
Yeah, it's not that cold here. It's about -8.
You
Well-
guys lucky, man. It was minus 24 in my truck without wind chill the other day, and I got pictures to prove it, eh? And I believe it's supposed to be down to minus 30 later this week.
Well, we got lucky tonight. It's only minus 10, but yeah, this week's supposed to get real cold and stay cold.
You guys can keep it.
It's coming your way, Mike.
Supposedly, it's supposed to go all the way down to Texas again, and that's crazy. This freezing, the super cold, and at a time where literally, so it's this polar vortex. They claim the splitting of the North Pole, where the North Pole heated up 60 degrees overnight. And it's overnight the night is a month long there. There's no sunlight, no energy whatsoever. How does it just shoot up 60 degrees temperature and then disturb and shoot all of this cold temperature down here? And when the cold was first moving in the other night, I got a bunch of pictures of these light spires, like it's sucking the energy out. It's crazy.
That is crazy. You gotta love the way it works, though. I mean, it makes you wonder if so many thousands of years ago, Antarctica, when it was warm, that cold was pushed down to, say, maybe where the equator is now. I don't know. But interesting stuff by far. Makes one wonder if that's kind of reoccurring, like a cyclic sort of formation. Don't know. Just a thought.
Welcome, Jeremiah. Sorry, don't know how long you've been there, brother. Josiah, good day.
there.
Yeah,
Is
sorry
there
about
any-
that. I hadn't added myself back in because I was stepped away for a minute. But how you guys doing today? I just found out that you were doing a live stream. Looked at my messages, and I got one like 30 minutes ago. So here I am.
Welcome to Year of the Superfield. How does it feel?
Well, speaking of fields, I am printing right now the Corona ejection ring for the Photon spacecraft patent application. And this is going to be a rather interesting one. I've always wanted to build this, and it's specifically in the shape and geometry of the electrode, or the electron emission electrode. And that's what will produce the bremsstrahlon radiation around the craft. But I've got the first, I got the bottom half printed now, and I'm working on the top half. Once again, Simon did a fantastic job with the 3D CAD files, did the G code and the slicing for me. So I'm just having some issues with this current print. Maybe it's a temperature setting issue, but you know, I'm new to 3D printing anyways, very new to it, but I am looking forward to building UFO parts with it.
Oh, the possibilities with 3D printers. And we're going to launch Metamaterial Mondays in 3D printing. Simon C. Going to be on with that as well. And we're going to start doing some real things with them 3D printers.
Yeah, I agree. I have to catch up on that. 3D printing is an amazing tech.
Yeah, I've been using it for a while.
Yeah, Mike, you're actually a wizard in it, I do believe.
I started actually making the machines back in about 2013 when it was just the ripraps. And yeah, I built 2 or 3 of them from scratch, did all the coding and did everything. Yeah.
Nice. We should collaborate. I should get you to make me one. Something large.
Well, the thing is, the 3D printers are way better than what they used to be, and you could get a decent printer now for like $500. So
yeah, you're absolutely right on that.
You know, the technology's just improved immensely on it, and now the materials is where it's at. You know, the type of materials you can actually print with. You can print carbon, you can print metals, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's going to take more time. I would say another 10 years before you start seeing some pretty amazing stuff. But you know, it's with this AI stuff coming online. Oh yeah, it's going to really change things.
Yeah, but all AI is programmable algorithms that have the ability to access the world's data all at once. If you could access the world's data all at once, you'd have a better computer in your head than that thing. That's just an
yeah, they just recently released in one of the science tech magazines. They built the first semiconductor for a computer, all made of graphene. So this will revolutionize the.
I saw that. I
chip
saw that
industry.
article.
Yeah, yeah. So
don't get me wrong, we're doing leaps and bounds with AI. I'm one of those old school guys that has the opinion that just because you can do something, does that mean you should? AI is not something that once you let out of the bottle, you'll ever be able to put back in, and humanity will never be the same.
Well, look what happened with the internet. Same thing. Nobody realized in 1995 that it would be, you know, pretty much running the world
Just
now.
don't abuse the AI. Use it for the best possible intentions, and it will be good.
Regardless of whether, yeah, but regardless of whether or not you use it with the best possible intentions, most of these companies that own the platforms that all of us use are going to put AI in charge of that. So now look at what the internet did for humanity in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
If you put a machine that's already been programmed with algorithms in charge of that, there's no human.
A oppressive machine. That's the issue that you're making. The point that you're pointing out is sadly it's a tyrannical corporate oppressive machine, not one
Well,
of
there's
truth.
got to be
and
rules,
growth.
Bernie. You got to follow the rules, Bernie. I
Well,
mean, you know,
who's controlling who, right? No, who's controlling who?
Yeah, well, that's just the point. Would you want a machine controlling you? No, don't get me wrong. Our computers, to some degree, give us limits. but we're the ones that put the controls on them. Do you really want to give up your sovereign consciousness to a machine that was put in place by some guy who didn't want to deal with it because he was too lazy mentally? I don't know. Just a question.
Now, we're going to go through those hurdles, the same thing we did with the internet, right? So same thing's going to happen with the AI stuff.
Yeah, I think AI is just going to be an excuse to get lazy, an excuse to say it wasn't my fault. I was just following orders. Did that really work in World War II? I mean, come on. You know what I mean? Yeah. So my opinion of it is it could be a good thing, but it's not being used as a good thing. I'd put AI in charge of like medical operations that need absolute precision, right? Why not have them in charge of that? If they're perfectionists to that degree, then there's no human mistakes that can be made. That I agree with. But putting them in charge of human consciousness, which is essentially the internet to some degree, not entirely, but it's a collective consciousness amongst every person that has ever used it or contributed to it. I don't know. I think that's just, it's irresponsible for people to do. That's just my thought. I could be wrong, but if I'm proven wrong, so be it.
Yeah, it's uncharted territories, right?
I don't know. If you look into the Indian texts, like the Vedic texts, it parts of it kind of lead you to think that there was some sort of an AI influence way back in the day. But I could be wrong about that.
I suspect you're right on that. I feel the same thing. I do feel like I almost suspect that there's going to be this ancient AI like demigod like reconnection or something. Like it's like the Tower of Babel moment.
Yeah.
It either wins or destruct.
Yeah, I kind of wonder about that. Just because there was tech back then. No.
Is a cubit actually an ancient Egyptian Sumerian cubit? Is that actually a measurement of quantum bits? Like, imagine if that's actually it and it's part of the God particle.
That's a good question, Bernie. I always wondered about the qubit. That's a good question. Any thoughts on that, Mike?
Not really.
That one's out there.
That's an interesting
the Woo Woo Wednesday thought of the day right there.
There you go.
Still trying to absorb this.
Yeah, the qubit being an ancient measuring a measurement. What is it? 1.6 meters or something like that? 1.613 or something? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Supposedly, but maybe it's the God particle quantum bit of
maybe it was AI
and the quantum like God AI technology of the universe that we are about to dabble with into the modern Babel of Tower of Babel.
Maybe it was here's a theory. How about AI being responsible for the construction of the pyramids? Maybe there was an AI back then that was able to make them build the structure at an incredible accuracy. So obviously there is some kind of AI involved that gave them this super incredible accuracy of construction.
I maybe, but you know what? I wouldn't give AI that much credit. I think it's as dumb as a rock, just like every other machine we've created. It's mankind that has amazing abilities and creativity. And I think that we came up with the ways of putting the pyramid together and what it was for. Maybe it was given to us by a higher power. Maybe not. I don't know. But mankind was definitely the ones that put it together. How? That we still haven't figured out. We debate on it endlessly. All of us do. There's so many different ways, like Bernie said, maybe 3D printing it. Maybe it was built in anti-gravity in a sense where it was built from the top down. Maybe it was built by aliens. Maybe it was built by slaves. Nobody really knows.
No,
But
because
it's an interesting
I think
debate.
I personally think, and a few other guys out there actually think the Egyptians actually inherited the pyramids.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think they were there way before.
1000%. The pyramids and the pyramid building super civilization was pre-cataclysm, pre-Younger Dryas, like Atlantean or before that.
Yeah, and this
Yeah.
may piss a lot of people off, but I don't think the Egyptians owned it at all. If they did, they'd know exactly how it works, how it got put together, and how to fix it. And until they
That's
can
right.
tell me that, it wasn't theirs. They just got there first.
It was deliberately destroyed.
It'll just piss off the official Egyptian historical authorities, and they have their own history to maintain, even though it's been thoroughly disproven at this
See,
point.
and that's the thing about me. I don't care who I piss off. It's your opinion, and if you like it, you take it. If you
Egyptian
don't, you don't.
archaeology has been debunked so badly, it's like pathetic that in 2024 it's still taught in academia.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, no mention of Kemet at all. Hey, if we wanted to talk ancient Egypt, we should be referring to it by its proper name, and that goes back
Kemet.
before the 4,000-year history that they're currently promoting.
Yep.
As an alchemist, my main email of Crypto Alchemist, I spell it ELKHEMIST because it's all about the its tree.
There you go.
We as a society can move mountains now, and the Egyptians state that there's nothing beneath the sand except for the pyramids. Why don't we move most of that sand just to have a look? I doubt anybody would allow it. There'd be wars over that because the truth would come out.
Oh, you should have seen the major rigmarole for the completely non-invasive muon test. Where they found there was another chamber above the entryway. So just trying to get authorization from the authorities to get a couple of detectors in there. Like I said, completely passive detectors. Unreal amount of hoops they have to jump through, and then of course the authorities also said they had to be the first to gain access to the data, and they'd approve whether it was released, and all this kinds of stuff. Like, why would you care if it's scientific information about the construction of this structure? Why should we have to go through you to release it? In fact, why should we even have to ask for permission?
Narrative control, as always. They gotta put their spin on it.
Yeah, I mean, if we were wondering whether or not they were controlling the history and the narrative, then that pretty much tells you flat out in your face right there.
Oh, absolutely. What was the name of that? I can't remember the guy who's in charge of Egyptian antiquity there.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I can't remember his...
The biggest Hawass shit in the fucking world.
Yeah, he was a thief, a liar, a manipulator. And yeah, you want to sue me? Go right ahead. I ain't got nothing for you to take. So the way that I see it is that guy was personally responsible for hiding so much Egyptian
world history. Like, it's crimes against humanity that freaking guy commits to this
I
day,
agree. He should
even
be
though he's
charged
no
for
longer
crimes
in
against
power.
humanity. Yep,
He
I
should.
agree.
Yeah, they're always seeming to hide something. I think personally, in my personal view, there was a great civilization pre-Egyptian era, and it got wiped out completely. And they were the only ones who had the technology to build a structure like that. So the Egyptians eventually inherited it and called it their own, and that's been the narrative ever since. So that's my view. I think there was a great civilization way before the Egyptians.
Because if it was truly yours, wouldn't you want to have it put back to its perfection so that you could be proud of it and show the world, yeah, this is ours?
Exactly.
There's something just not quite right there.
Exactly, because they don't know what it is for starters, and number two, they wouldn't have any knowledge on how to reconstruct it, how to put it back to its original.
Well, I don't know. There's something sacred, I guess, about leaving the site as it is. I mean, Rome didn't rebuild the Colosseum. Greece is not rebuilding some of it's
Yes and
so
no. If
template,
it's to some degree, especially with burials, but we believe those specific pyramids are not burials, and there's no bodies in them to this day, so you can't really desecrate them.
It's an
So
energy
I would
generator.
argue it's because they belong to the world, and it needs to be more like shout out to Samir Izvanovich and what he's doing with the Bosnian pyramids and opening up and making it a civilian-led, open to the world. Any civilian can go and do active, real archaeological digs and explorations and real science on it as well. And the amount of next level information and discoveries that has come out of that, well, we'll be doing more of that this year.
I agree with both of you. I recant what I said originally. Maybe it shouldn't be put back into working order, but it should be cleaned up and maybe turned into a museum so that we know exactly what it was for, what its purpose was, its intention, and who built it and how it was built.
Yeah, hell, they
'Cause
could
if
at
it
least
was
build a
truly-
small one. I mean, at least to prove some principles, build a small working model.
Screw
and-
that! I want the portal to open.
And you could do that if it was all cleaned up and promoted, but they'll never do it because there's things that are being hidden from civilization that they do not want out. Otherwise, why not show it off?
Yep, they don't want people to know that this thing potentially was a giant generator set on a major ley line intersect that would create the global wireless power system that Tesla was having. Tesla was very interested in the pyramids, and in his later years, in his mid to late 70s, he was doing a lot of experiments with quartz crystals and materials that were potentially used in the pyramids. So he had a huge interest in that.
Yeah, it was one of his passions.
Yeah. In his later years, he was doing a lot of experiments.
I don't think a lot of people realize how much Tesla actually traveled around the world and studied overseas. That guy moved all over the place just to learn from different cultures about their ancient sciences. He was fascinated with ancient technologies.
Yeah, he studied the Indian Vedic texts as well.
From what I understand, Tesla was at
Yes,
the
he
pyramids
did.
twice.
Yeah, he wasn't at like a Hitler Nazi drill level of like I have to have all the old artifacts kind of thinking, but he wanted to understand how it all worked.
No, he even had like a yogi or some sort of Eastern or Orient master, like spiritual guy with him for many years. Oh God, why
Edgar
can't I think of
Casey, I
the
think it was.
No,
he
no,
was
no,
from
no.
India.
An Indian yogi or something, right?
Oh, that
guy.
Yeah, but yes, he also did Edgar Casey as well, and Walter Russell.
Yeah, he would ask Casey for all kinds of technical information for him to channel solutions for his various inventions that were at the because Tesla was doing stuff that had never been done before. So wherever Casey was pointing his information, that Tesla would ask him about in his hotel room when he was in his final years of doing his design work, and he sort of hit the edge. The stuff hadn't been done before, at least in any modern time. So wherever Casey was pulling that tech from, it certainly wasn't because he had looked it up and read it on the internet or pulled it from a library or something, right? But yeah, he gave Tesla accurate technical information that was beyond what he currently had studied. So I find that interesting, always have.
That makes a lot of sense from what I got this book, and I can't even remember where I got it from. I think it was from my aunt when I was a kid, and it talks about somebody who knew Tesla and how they were part of this group. Now, I don't know how true this is. It could be a fiction. I don't know. I have to look at the book again, but this group they were in included I didn't know about Casey, which actually kind of fits.
That was in his very later years. That's probably why you didn't hear much about it. That's when he was up in the hotel in New York or whatever.
Yeah.
And that was in like his final, I think, 10 years or so. He started consulting Casey. It could have been even less than his final 10 years.
Well, apparently Tesla, Einstein, Steinmetz, my brain just farted. The one that created the light bulb,
Edison.
Yeah, and the one that wrote the books, he was good friends with there.
Yeah, that freaking guy's name. Twain, Mark Twain.
Yes, Mark Twain. Apparently, they had a group, and because of what you just said about Casey, this is what clicked that memory. Apparently, they had a group that would get into seances and all kinds of esoteric
Oh wow,
rituals in order
almost
to
like
get
a
information.
parallel to the Maria Orsovich
Yeah,
German
channeling and stuff.
like group.
Channeling was a big thing back then. Now, I don't believe Tesla was getting his information from there, but he was getting confirmations from there, from my understanding.
Right, yeah, Tesla said where he got his information from. He said straight up that none of his ideas are his own, and they come from a point of higher consciousness elsewhere in the universe.
Exactly. So it's just an interesting thing that goes along with what I learned. That's all my point was. It makes one wonder what that group could have accomplished or did accomplish behind the scenes, considering they were all good friends.
Oh yeah, well every year for Tesla's birthday party, he would throw these parties, and he would give these demonstrations sometimes, but he would have most fantastic lectures that were just for this like private group of 25 or 30 of his best friends. And some of these were really big names. The people that you just mentioned would have been there, along with quite a few others, and potentially investors. But yeah, he'd tell these really, really fantastic stories. It's one of the places I think that's one of his parties where he told the story about how he'd seen through time, and he looked and kind of turned his head and seen three different times playing out. And one of them was apparently far enough into the future where he's seeing the guy with a cell phone in his pocket, or what he described as a handheld video communication device that allowed anybody to talk to anyone else anywhere in the world. And it slipped in the guy's front shirt pocket. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Now, there was a device he was working on where basically whatever you thought, it would project it on the screen.
I heard about that, but never seen a single shred of evidence towards it, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, so, yeah, same. Yeah. That's one thing I've heard he did.
I heard about that device as well, yeah. Yeah, he accessed it through brainwaves. I don't know how he was able to see him back then, but that was an interesting invention. Didn't it have, I don't know if he had anything to do with Project Looking Glass or not, but it kind of sounds along his lines.
As far as I know, that really didn't have anything to do with him.
No, eh?
I know he had a part in the Philadelphia experiment, but he got out of it really early because he knew it was super dangerous for humans to be in that field. And,
I read some notes on that, on why he got out, actually.
Yeah.
He got out because he redid his calculations and he realized that every single person that was on that ship near those gravity transformers had to be wearing a watch that locked them to the time that they were from. Because if they didn't, what happened from what we hear could have happened. Because the watch that was ticking was oscillating at the time that they were born in, so to speak, right? It's at 60 seconds per oscillation, so to speak, and that was how they were getting their I don't know what watch he was using. But anyway, the watches that he wanted to give to every person on the ship, the United States Army apparently said, no, we've already spent enough money on this. We're not going to do that. We don't need it. The math is correct. And he bailed. He said, I don't want nothing to do with this because you guys aren't listening. I've told you, you need to do this. And that's why he bailed. Apparently. I don't know how true it is.
That sounds pretty legit. That's freaking wild.
I found the quote here. Nikola Tesla, my brain is only a receiver. In the universe, there is a core from which we obtain knowledge, strength, and inspiration. I have not penetrated into the secrets of this core, but I know that it exists. And so,
awesome.
Information highway.
It's just like beautiful poetry.
And, I've had so many downloads, and so have most of the people that I work with, that it really makes me think, this is just something that all of us humans can do. It's not, you're not born with special
gifts. Gerald, Jeremiah, myself, all of us have had many own personal experience downloads. Like it's how we get all our like
The best ideas, absolutely.
ideas.
I come up with all kinds of crappy ideas on my own, but the really good ones pop into my head from somewhere else.
I built my coils through dreams. Every one of them. They were all directed through dreams. Certain numbers, certain sequences. Call it what you will. Mendelbrot sets. And I've seen so many things in dreams I can't even explain. I've written them down. I got maybe 20 binders full of notes. But crazy when you access.
Yeah, lucid dreaming is the key to
amazing.
getting a lot of this info.
That's amazing. We got to get Dan Winter on to talk about that here this year in 2024.
Yeah, he's the guy to talk to about that.
I like Dan Winter. He only goes so far, though. He always says that life is, it all has to do with geometrical basis, and that's it. But there's way more to it than that. Who created the geometrical form that created us?
He goes into the plasma and the ball lightning and the lucid dreaming and forming the flame within the mind. And
Oh, don't get me wrong. I'm not discounting any of his info. I think he's great. He's smart. I've watched him since he built his first implosion device for water structuring.
Yep. Yeah, he's in Australia.
Shout out to the water imploder.
Yeah, apparently he was doing some work with the guy who made the Joe cell.
Really, that fascinates me. The Joe cell really fascinates me, especially with like the electrolysis experiments I've done and some of like the weird viscosities I've gotten water to turn to. Like I fully believe in what I've seen in investigating the Joe cell. I think it's legit.
Yeah, one thing he was saying with the Joe cell, if he were to drive his car over a railroad track, the Joe cell just shuts off.
Because wow, that would make sense. The resonance, because the vibration would just instantly,
It's because the tracks are this huge ground connection that carries to their occurrence.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. The track. Yes, the grounding.
I would love to build a Joe cell just to test that.
Who was talking about that earlier today? Someone was talking about that earlier today.
I was talking about telluric currents.
No, it was a different system than the Joe cell. Someone else today, a video I was watching, was talking about when they drove over rail tracks because it connects to this huge ground and it would just ground it out instantly. Oh man, I think it was with Jeremy Reese actually.
And you guys should have seen what happened at the tracks over by my old shop. It was just the most incredible thing I've seen as the aftermath. So, oh, you guys want to hear about this? It's just wild. So, another person that was standing outside, or right by the door to let the dogs out. There was 2 dogs there standing at the time, and they run outside all the time, even when it's storming and whatnot. But they would not go outside at all. They just whimpered at the doorway, and then they ran back inside and started barking at the open door. So anyway, she's like, "Oh, that's weird. I wonder what's going on." And right as she starts to turn to go inside, massive explosive sound just shook the entire building, shook her. She felt it in her chest. So I find out about this the next morning when I get there to the shop. And so I go down by the railroad tracks where she said she's pretty sure lightning struck. And there's a tree that's been completely stripped of its bark and most of its branches. I can see the stump 30 feet from where the rest of the tree is sitting. And this is like a probably 35-foot tall tree. It's a monster tree. It completely blew the thing. And at the base, it exploded the base with so much pressure, it tossed the tree. It must have put it at least 25 feet in the air and threw it, like I said, over 30 feet away. But anyways, this is the really interesting part. The track is in sort of a valley. So this railroad track where this lightning bolt struck, and right where it blew the tree off, it sits about 10 feet down beneath ground level on one side and about 4 feet down on the other, because there's a hill on the opposite side that kind of goes up and it's dug out. What happened is apparently this valley, this region beneath ground level, had been filled up with a massive amount of electrons, just trying to escape and neutralize out the charge that was building up. Because before this lightning bolt must have struck, or before this lightning bolt struck, it must have pulled out a huge amount of charge straight off the tracks and started to ionize the air. So the entire valley was filled with ions. And what happened is when the lightning strike occurred, it discharged all the ions in the air, and then something really fascinating that I've never seen anywhere else occurred. Every single track-facing plant about 3 feet from the plants that were the closest to the track, about 3 feet into the brush, was completely stripped off of all of its bark, or its leaves. Its leaves were completely exploded. I seen the stems were just blown to pieces. It had fried all the brush, and apparently it's because it electrostatically exploded outwards, just like we see in exploding wire experiments. And the extensive damage to almost 300 feet in both directions where this lightning bolt struck, just along the railroad tracks. The tracks carried so much instant neutralization charge that they electrostatically ripped the plants apart and tore pieces straight towards the tracks. We're talking thousands of pounds of force here in a split second, probably millions upon millions of volts in a couple of nanoseconds. So
I imagine that area smelled like ozone big time.
Oh man, absolutely. I mean, I seen where the strike went down, and it burned the crap out of everything. But the amazing part is it was raining all night after this lightning strike happened, and that tree the next day, it was bone dry. You got to gun off to that thing with a match and started it on fire. I mean, it was completely dry. So that means, while it was raining, that tree must have been so damn hot still that it evaporated off all of this water and ended up dry the next day. So I've never seen that much extensive damage to foliage from any lightning strike. For 300 feet in both directions, just everything completely dead and stripped.
There's a video on the internet. It's been out there for a while. It shows a lightning bolt hitting the ground close to like a river, and then the bolt of lightning just travels right through the river. I don't know. Maybe Bernie, you could find it. It shows lightning bolts hitting a river.
If you post it in the private chat, I can definitely load it and play it.
You guys realize that some lightning bolts are over 15 feet wide?
Yeah,
they're huge.
Mind blowing.
Yeah, as you were talking about railroad tracks and lightning bolts, has it not been known multiple times that ball lightning actually follows railroad tracks, which is form of lightning?
Well, they are a massive attractor.
Big time. Actually, I think there's a couple videos on the internet of that. I don't know if they're still up.
I don't doubt that. Yeah, tracks are seldom in an ideal position to get struck, so it doesn't happen very often, but certainly they can carry enough charge to draw down lightning, so it will be the plants surrounding the tracks that usually get struck. They're seldom the highest thing around.
Lame. I've been trying to test out. I'm live on 3 different Twitter/X accounts, channels of mine right now as well. But I was testing because supposedly they finally fixed the live comments to Twitter or X integrated into StreamYard, but it does not seem to be the case. Boo. Ernst.
Okay.
Shout out Tartarian Truth.
Okay, I found the video. I'm going to put it in the chat.
Oh, right. Yeah, the private chat.
Private chat. Okay, hold on a sec.
And once we cover that, then Jeremiah, do you want to discuss a little bit more of the hover coil today? Nope. Here we go. Latin hits the river tree.
Oh crap! I was muted. Actually, Gabriel was telling me earlier yesterday that I had a dream about a flying platform that I had built, and I knew how it worked in my dream because I was assembling it, and so I drew up a little diagram of how to construct it, and I never did get around to actually building it. But he was absolutely convinced that of all the things that I could possibly be working on, that was the #1 most important thing. He's sure that because I've seen it in a dream and like many other things. Holy cow!
That's a
Pretty sure
lightning
that-
bolt.
I remember
That's
seeing it
lightning
before. It's
bolt,
not.
really?
Yeah.
It's lightning.
No way.
I remember that. Yeah.
It was in China. I remember seeing that. Yeah.
Yeah, the sound goes with it, or it did at one point, and it was
It was
loud.
like a shockwave. It was a shockwave.
And how big of a strike did that have to be?
Play it again. See, it hits the ground.
Wow.
Oh. That's
I would
hollow.
have loved to have been standing there.
Just the way it races across the surface of the ground like that, too. I've never seen lightning do something quite like that.
So charged and electric. Yeah, across the ground there here, right? Like
Yeah, right at the beginning.
Right, but what's really amazing is when it back to the water doesn't all go at once. It's like in these multiple locations, it's super strange. But what I'm not getting here is this. Coming out of the water there is this brown smoke, so it looks more like, it looks almost like an explosive was set off. And that may not be lightning strike. Maybe that's
Sure, that's not transmutation?
Yeah, this is crazy.
I'll be sure
That's
that's
high
lightning, though.
voltage.
Oh, that's high voltage, man.
Yeah, I know. Is this lightning or something else?
See, to me, that looks like an explosion. That's not lightning. Come on, you know what? That's got to be an underwater explosion, and that thing that looks like a lightning strike
No,
up there. That's probably that's probably zip line. That's their explosive trigger line, like they use in controlled detonation.
Maybe.
Charged explosion.
Maybe.
Yes,
Maybe.
that was
Yeah.
an electric.
Well, look at the brown. Look at the brown vapor in the water after.
100%. That's detonated.
Yeah.
Well,
could
I've
be
never
detonation.
seen lightning strike water before, so I don't know if there's any sort of transmutation going on. But Jeremiah,
Maybe somebody-
that could be dirt from the ground, right? From
Maybe
underneath.
somebody just wanted to go fishing and decided to use a bomb.
Right? Yeah. It's
That's
China.
one way of netting them in.
Yeah. Chinese new method of fishing. Throw a bomb in the water.
There could have been some kind of obstruction too, or maybe the bedrock wasn't even, and they wanted to try to widen it out, just push everything upstream. So it could have been to reshape the riverbed too.
Actually.
I don't know. I thought it looked pretty cool.
Sure the hell did.
Oh, hell yeah. We love blowing stuff up for the right reasons and science.
Hell yeah.
So usually, I don't really have to worry about wanting to blow anything up really much ever, because it tends to happen all the time on the lab bench by accident. So normally when something blows up, it's not a good thing. But
yeah,
it thoroughly satisfies all my need for seeing things go pop.
I used to take those little tiny DC capacitors and set them up with my big coil and blow them up like shotgun shells. Man, when they explode, they're loud.
Yeah, I've done a few of those unintentionally.
I don't have any more because I did so many of them.
That was my introduction to electronics, blowing up a capacitor in my face.
Nice.
Oh, that's a good way to learn about electrolytics.
Yep.
But probably not the best.
It was lesson number 1.
Oh man, we used to see how far we could launch those things, or what kind of energy we could get by discharging a capacitor of approximately, what was it? I think it was like 150,000 times the equivalent energy into one of these little cans. Just watch the damn thing go completely catastrophic. I mean, it would blow pieces of the can or fragments into wood, and it would have bended pretty deeply. So
when they blow, there's nothing left, but it looks like little pieces of fur and plastic.
yeah, we used to pick the ones that didn't have the vent release caps, because those will really go bang.
Yep.
Nice shirt.
That is a really ugly sweater. I love it.
Happy Human Holiday.
Indeed.
You win the ugly sweater contest this year, Bernie. You definitely win the ugly sweater contest this year.
Mike, I don't know. Do you know those characters on there, Gerald?
I sort of do. I don't know their names. I love the sweater. Don't get me wrong. I think it's hilarious. But
That's why he's showing it off, is because of those characters there.
no, I know. I love the ugly sweater factor, though.
Exactly. And then it lights up.
That used to be a contest in my house. That's why I love that. That's great.
You guys actually did that? I only
Yeah,
heard
we
about
did.
that.
When I was younger, in my early 20s, there, me and my friends used to have ugly sweater contests at Christmas time.
Oh,
Just
we
to
still do at
break up the boredom.
Amber's house. Her brother wins every year.
Some people have a knack for ugly.
Some people don't have to
He
try.
nailed it.
Yeah. Some people are pure natural at it.
Yeah.
Shout out
Have
to
you met my brother? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's okay. I still don't know how to dress nice. Wasn't ever a skill that I picked up. If I've got to look good, I'll ask my girlfriend for help.
Yeah. Yeah. I've never been too bad in that department. Just can't really afford the clothes I want to wear.
Well, let's see. Damn, I hope this print comes out.
Yeah, but it gets to 50, you just kind of give up.
Yeah, but that's when you shouldn't give up. That's when you should push harder. Leave a nice looking corpse. That's what I say. I'm going to leave the best damn looking corpse I can. Go out with a bang, right?
That's it.
I was running a small replication of the 2-coil system. It was the first 3D print that I did was these little bobbins. Once again, thanks to Simon for doing all the G-code work on that. And it's just 2 electromagnetic coils, kind of like speaker voice coils, that has a steel bar in the center of them. And so I'm pumping them at 100 hertz, and one of them is offset by about 0.63 hertz. So it's 100 hertz and 100.63 hertz in the 2 channels. That creates a traveling wave, and that thing makes a compass spin like crazy. But it also produces a propulsive force because of the traveling wave phenomena. And the fact that it does it with a square wave input at only 100 hertz, I think, is super interesting. And the reason for 0.63 hertz offset is because that's the oscillation frequency of the pendulum I have it on. So it just kind of helps automate the swinging process, so I don't have to turn it on and off. But yeah, you can really feel it with the magnet. That beat frequency at 0.65 hertz beat frequency is really fascinating. And I was thinking about your coils, G, and how you could run them with a slight differential in frequency to generate a traveling wave too.
Yeah, I can do a little more than that, but I understand exactly. Yeah, I see how you see that. Just for the very fact that it's bifilar and balanced.
Yeah, in this case, these are monofilar coils, but I work far better with a pair of bifilar coils.
But you're working with a pair of monofilar, right? Which is
Right.
pretty much the same thing as one bifilar coil. So
Yeah, I went monofilar because I wanted to reduce the capacitance as much as possible.
but see, if you use the capacity, then
Well, in this case, I'm going for maximum transition switching speed without the back EMF. This is all
Oh, yeah,
low
okay.
drive,
I know where
so
you're going with
I
that.
can't. Yeah, with the low voltage, I can't have the high capacitance because the amplifier just won't run it, and because it's being driven with a direct input waveform, not just simply being turned on and off of the transistor, but because it's being driven with a Class A amplifier, it also needs to be fast.
You're absolutely right. In fact, I've gotten to a point where I don't really need a transistor. I use it for a signal and a signal only.
You're saying you can just pump the function generator straight in?
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's in one of your videos. Don't you show that lighting a light? It like just barely illuminates.
Yeah, actually, I do. I also show the coil floating above a magnet in the same instance. I've got the function generator set to 24 million hertz, but the transistor doesn't even turn on at that rate. Like it doesn't. It's not even
right
access. So all I'm using essentially is the function generator to do its work. It's because it's creating superconductivity. That's what I believe, amongst other things. It's not one thing; it's a bunch of little things that make it
I'll
do
be right back in
multiple.
5 or 10
It's
minutes. Just gonna
dynamic.
go make a coffee. Just the world's bananas and it's full of trolls, and I will be right.
5 or 10 minutes. All right.
Yeah, I believe my system's dynamic. It wouldn't work with any one little part missing, but all the little parts make it work.
Yeah, that's the the other day I was asked this question on Thomas Fessler's channel, Disclosure Tonight show, and I was asking what's the secret sauce, and somebody suggested, is there really a secret sauce, or is it just all these little things working together? And I'm like, you nailed it. The secret sauce is that you need to match lots of factors and tune the system so that everything works in unison. That is the secret. There is no specific thing. Like if you have this one extra ingredient, then it'll work. It's like, nope, you already have all the right ingredients, but you've got to mix them at the right ratios, or you ain't gonna bake a cake.
Absolutely. It takes teamwork to make a system like that work.
Absolutely.
All the little
There you
bits
go.
and pieces as a team. Yep.
So yeah, if you were wondering the secret sauce, unfortunately, there's no easy answer to it, no microwave solution, and no 3-step recipe. But certainly, if you mix the nice ingredients, or the ingredients in the right ratios.
Yep. Yeah, it's like you can't just make a coil and expect it to work. You can't just make a bifilar coil and expect it to work.
Nope, and you can have a perfect coil, and it doesn't matter if you don't drive it with the right kind of signal.
True. But in that perfect coil, there's 7 different instabilities that make that coil perfect. So without those, it ain't gonna work. It's all a system.
Right, and then the driving signal is the thing that sets up the conditions to allow the coil to operate on those instabilities.
Yep.
And a lot of those systems too, when you get it just right, technically it should become a current-free potential. So your power source should draw very, very hardly any current.
Yeah, I'm at 0 watts every time I use my system now.
Oh yeah, like my motor's in the picowatts now. It's not even registering on my meter.
Yeah,
So,
that's the thing. It's not registering on my meter either. Jeremiah had mentioned that actually that the meter only goes probably about 100 milliwatts, maybe, or something like that. I can't remember.
It has a minimum cutoff threshold. It can't read down to 0, and its resolution is 100 milliwatts. Right? Yeah, well, its resolution is 100 milliwatts. So we checked it, and it starts to read like around 0.6 or 0.7 watts, and then kind of ignores the numbers below that. It just thinks they're noise, so it filters them out. But once you're above the threshold, then that last digit, it does accurately indicate what the watts are. But it just simply thinks that if there's just a tiny little bit there, it's probably noise, so it rejects it. That's part of the microcontroller processing, microcontroller code that they set up on those damn things. And that's, the Chinese compensation method of saying we have a shitty voltage regulator, so we're just going to ignore the noise.
Makes sense.
Yep, unfortunate.
And if you wanted accurate, sorry, Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, like the batteries on my system, I've been using for several weeks now, and it won't go below 25 volts. It does not go below. It just will not take the power out. So obviously, it just will not drain the battery. The battery just like I'll leave it for a day, hook it back up, it'll gain 100 millivolts.
Okay, so I got a question for you, Mike. Can you pull a load off that, or does the load itself the system running?
The load itself is the system running, and it runs off the pressure of the voltage potential. So what I've got is basically a current-free potential. Because I'm triggering it so fast in the way that I'm doing it, it does not draw a current. It's running off the voltage pressure or the radiation from that voltage that drives the ions. Because it's switching so fast, the ions cannot travel from plate to plate within the battery. It doesn't pull anything. The battery doesn't even notice it's there.
I see what you're doing. That is a nice way. Man, I like that way of cheating.
Yeah,
it's cheating the chemistry. You're not allowing charges to actually, the ions in the battery to neutralize.
exactly. It's a current-free
Fast rise
potential.
time.
So I got 2 batteries. If say I hooked up 4 batteries in series, that motor would run indefinitely because it's not pulling anything from the battery. It's running off the voltage pressure. If you got enough voltage pressure
You
there,
can calculate out how long you could run it off the battery, because you're not going to be able to actually measure correctly the current draw into your circuit at all with any kind of a meter. But what you can do is charge up a fairly large capacitor to that 24 or something volts, and then you can. I would actually charge it up to the full battery voltage for both your cells, so 14.2 times 2, and then you're gonna have that off a power supply running the circuit already, so that when you disconnect the power supply, the capacitor is already fully charged and connected, and then you're just going to time it while watching the capacitor with the meter down to the point where it gets to what you would call a dead battery voltage. Let's say that would be 11 volts. Right, so you're going to be looking at 22 volts across your capacitor. So just measure how long it takes to go from that capacitor's fully charged 2 cell voltage down to that 22 volts, and then you can calculate out how many joules per that capacitance were lost into the circuit, how long it took to dissipate that energy. And you can figure out exactly how long your batteries will run it then.
So what I've done, I've hooked up the 1-wire system to my circuit, and I put it through a giant toroid transformer. That's the actual inductor. I'm tapping off that 1 wire, and then I put it through a full-way bridge rectifier. Then I dump it into a 60-volt, 12,000 microfarad capacitor. And then from there, again, I put it through another bridge rectifier. Okay, so I've broken the symmetry now, and I can loop the entire motor now. I can loop it back into itself. The battery doesn't notice it's charging itself because I broke the symmetry along that route. So,
interesting. I'll have to check out some of your videos and take a look at that circuit.
The latest videos. Yeah, I even got the schematic diagram in my Patreon. So anybody who's listening to the show, if you want to become a Patreon, you can check all those schematics out. And I got that from Joel Ladens.
Yeah.
So the 1-wire system is really cool. I like it, and it works.
So I wonder, Mike, on that premise of the way you run your system, if you were to add multiple batteries to it, could you not pull current out of those batteries and then have them charge continuously just because the way the system works?
Yeah, because it's not pulling any current from the battery. It's current-free potential.
No. I don't mean by running the system itself. I mean an actual load on the side.
Oh yeah, like I can charge batteries right off it. I'm charging a 12-volt 90 farad super cap, and it charges it just great.
Nice, very nice. Like your system, love it.
Yeah, it's still very small scale, but I'm trying to get the electronic theory of how this thing actually works. And I found a couple avenues where I basically found out that what I'm doing is it's a current-free potential.
Well, I'm working on something that might help us all, and if it does work, then I'll be shipping one out to each of you for testing, maybe multiple. But I had to put a pause on it. You guys want to see something gross?
Something gross?
Well, not gross, but okay. So it's weird. Okay, every time I have a major breakthrough, something happens. Some little stupid piece of bad luck. My last major breakthrough, my daughter got hit by a car, which I now have on video, by the way. The thing that happened to me a few days ago, I got to show this. So, I don't know if it's going to show. I got to switch my camera, I think. Hang on.
I hope this has nothing to do with like mushrooms or something.
Oh, that's nice. Way to go.
It looks better today.
Oh, you smash your finger?
Yeah, I was changing the tire on my wife's car, and it's a hatchback, and out of the blue, and this hatchback normally stays up. You can shake the car, it doesn't fall down. You guys know how hatchbacks work.
Yeah.
Well, I'm changing the tire, and the thing got slammed down on my hand. Nobody was around. It just came straight down, and my hand was stuck in the gate. And my right hand, I couldn't reach the latch, so I had to rip my hand out from underneath the gate, and you could see the break in the nail from it happening. So it's weird. Every time I have a breakthrough, something freaking weird happens to me, and that happened. So now that it's healed to the point where I continue working on what I'm working on, I'm hoping to have it done by Friday. But I think
so you've learned a lesson. So every time you get a breakthrough, you got to go into your bedroom and lock the door.
Yeah. For a week at a time. Yeah. Yeah. No kidding. Yeah. No, I don't do that. I'll take the hit. I don't care. Mankind needs the help. I'll take the hit.
Nah, you can't hide away from it anyways. They will just wait for you right outside your door until you're vulnerable and get you anyways.
Yeah.
And you know what I say? Bring them on.
Yeah,
Not the first time.
I would say it's pretty obvious that there are some forces at work here that will do absolutely anything and everything to make sure the shit never gets out.
Perhaps. Or it could be just bad luck. But, you know, I bring it up just because.
Last time I checked, bad luck doesn't cause your internet cord to get cut up on the pole.
Yeah. Yeah, there is that. There is that.
Yeah, there is that.
But, yeah, you know what? I kind of wonder if this Friday, are you showing anything off this Friday? Do some live experiments, Jeremiah?
Oh, man.
Hey, are you doing anything live Friday or this weekend for experiments?
I highly doubt that I will actually have anything set up and ready by that time. I was trying for it. The experiment that I have set up now is producing a propulsive force, but not one that I would stand behind and say absolutely this is, you know, a reactionist force. There are still too many variables to work through before I can say that. So most of my experiments right now need a lot of testing before I want to go public with them, just because, again, there's so much crap information out there. It's like the last thing I want to do is add more crap information.
I hear that.
Or false conclusions.
Yeah, I don't want to do that either.
One thing I don't do in my videos, really, hardly ever, is give conclusions to the viewers. I give suggestions for what I think might be happening, and then I leave that as an open-ended sort of, I don't know what it is, you know, think about it, this is what I think it is.
Yep. I try and do that. I've in my videos lately, I've put some suggestions in there, but I'm not claiming it's superconductivity that what I'm doing, because there's so many different forces that are interplaying. I can't claim it to be superconductivity. In fact, until it gets into the hands of others, really, it's just a coil doing anomalous things, or according to others, it could be just weird videos.
Yeah, so, well, again, you know, whenever there's room in your title, you always end it with "you decide."
Yeah, well, it's ultimately up to others, right? Regardless of what I see, you can't live in a tunnel.
Yeah, and it wouldn't matter if you told everybody exactly what it was and you knew exactly what it was, because people would still have their own opinions too. It's like every single person that studies this, you know, historical technology or ancient technology concepts has their own theory about how the pyramids were built. It's like something that everybody wants to talk about and brag about how great their theory is because it makes so much sense to them. And it's like, yeah, everybody and their grandmother can tell you how the pyramids are built in their opinion, but what's it really matter if nobody can tell you how to use them?
Yep, very true. It's just a good debate. That's all it really is.
Yeah, it's one more opportunity for somebody to stroke their knowledge of history and, you know, explore various theories. It can be a good discussion, though. You know, good open debate allows the opportunity for people to test their ideas against other concepts amongst the community, and that can help them error correct and fact check and stuff. So, you know, a lot of people, they just do these debates purely for the sake of wanting to improve their idea. They aren't all Jack Sarfati. You know, they don't come in there telling you exactly how it is, for the most part.
Yeah, I hear you. Absolutely.
Well, I not on Jack Sarfati either. Just, you know,
so, I like Jack. I like his theory. He's From my understanding, he's almost dead on, except there's a couple things missing. But of course, because of who he works for and with, I imagine there's a lot he can't say. So,
who's this?
Jack Sarfati.
Oh, Jack Sarfati.
He's no crackpot, man. That guy, when he did his interview with Tim Ventura, and then he did the APEC, the one right before that, and then the interview with Tim after that, he was dead on about what he was saying. I fully believe that they have it.
Well, at
Because
least,
from my
you know,
experiments,
theoretically.
what's that?
At least theoretically, because they've never built any working models or test proofs of it.
I don't know about that. I only say that because he said he was read in. Okay, now if you're read in, that means they actually have a system that they've either tested or been running. And from what I'm seeing in experiments, I fully believe what he's saying is true. They have it. I don't know, but it's just a theory.
Yeah, I mean, by they, I don't think that Jack's ever put his hands on any of this stuff or actually seen any of it operate. That's all I'm saying.
Oh no, I don't think he's actually been in front of one. I just think that he may have read somewhere through his contacts that they were for real. In fact, I believe he stated that.
I think a lot of it was put on him to try and create his own system of mathematics, and then he would pump that to the right people and sort of have them error check it to see if it made sense for what they were actually doing and what they knew worked. So as far as I understand it, I think he had the opportunity to talk with people that were on insides of these programs and sort of told them, yeah, this math makes sense to us, or no, this is absolutely wrong, you gotta fix it.
Yeah.
Know what material I'd love to get my hands on is that aerogel stuff.
Oh, wouldn't we all?
Oh god.
Can't you make that stuff, Jeremiah, or is it like
I can make graphene, no problem, but making aerogel is quite a bit more complicated.
It is, eh?
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I've never made anything like that.
What are the electrical properties of aerogel?
Incredible. Depends on its type and its construction, though. Really, there are many different types and formats of aerogels, and some of them are basically inflated carbon mesh. And those are the ones you'll see this kind of looks like a circular kind of block of coal.
Yeah.
But it'll be balancing on top of like a flower petal, and it's like almost as large as the flower itself. So it's just the stuff is so insanely light. The electrical properties of that material are some of the most incredible that exist right now.
What, superconductivity or?
It exhibits superconducting-like properties. It has a massive, massive electric field potential.
Now, if you were to somehow mold that aerogel over, say, a wire conductor or a coil, I wonder what would happen. I wonder how the properties of the coil would change with that stuff on it.
I suppose for really, really high frequencies, maybe you'd get something, but I think aerogel's best properties are actually going to be found in its modification to the refractive index for super high frequencies, and in certain specific types, like that inflated carbon aerogel. That's it's different than the clear stuff. This stuff is like a solid kind of black, and it's completely opaque. But that stuff, aerogels like that, could revolutionize a whole lot of different technologies. For example, they're actually being used right now in the fastest transistors which currently exist. They operate into the I think they're like, what are they up to? Like 45 gigahertz now, with apparently prototype units having been developed and built, just a couple of one-offs, and they've been tested up to terahertz. I shit you not, terahertz.
Terahertz, wow.
So I got a theory on I don't know if this would work like an aerogel, but my brother used to do electrostatic painting for the city, and it's a way of coating it through electricity. Like you're painting with charged particles, so to speak, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah, they're powderized particles, like an atomized liquid, and you're spraying it onto a machine. The machine's grounded itself, and there's mass amounts of potential involved. So my thought process, what's that?
Electroplating.
Yeah, electroplating. Well, kind of.
Not,
It's
not really
different.
electroplating. This is a little bit different. So you have two
Yeah, I
types
can't
of these
remember the
paint
name of it.
guns.
Yeah.
Well, one's called a powder coating.
Powder coating, yeah.
Gun, and the other one is a charged aerosol painting system.
Electrostatic painting, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, my thought process is this: because it's electrostatic, could you not layer it in such a way where you're changing your polarity of layer and create some form of a battery?
Unfortunately, with that type of tech, it goes on way too thick and way too uneven.
Interesting point.
So yeah, it's part of the issue.
So you couldn't build up some form of an aerogel by layering like that?
Not with that specific technique, though. I've had quite a few theories on how to grow aerogels electrically under the right conditions. The problem is that all these theories involve a very high temperature hydrogen furnace. So that's
right.
I just don't have access to the equipment, but there's a crap load of papers right now that tell you how to make aerogels and graphene and nanotubes, and my favorite is like how to grow a nanotube forest, which is very much a high voltage electrostatic process. It just you vaporize extremely high temperatures off of an arc electrode, little pieces of carbon, and then you allow them to naturally align to the electric field, and they'll self-assemble into nanotubes.
That's interesting. Either way, it's good to know.
No, I wish we got good at this stuff, though. I wish we got good at building this stuff, because our species would tremendously benefit if we did. One of your coils made out of the right type of metallized, doped carbon conductor would do things you can only begin to imagine.
Well, it's funny you say that. I'm working on something. Hopefully it'll be done on Friday. I can show. Hopefully. I'm waiting for, it depends on the dry time.
Dry time? Oh.
Yeah, I've built a weird type of battery. Say.
So you're using that spray on carbon. I used it for my carbon magnesium batteries. It's a spray on carbon graphite paint.
Not quite. Let's just say I'll reveal how I built it, but there's a coil in it.
No, that's an interesting battery.
Yeah, it's not a normal battery. I don't even know if you can classify it as a battery, but essentially it acts like a battery.
Is it a flux capacitor?
You could call it that. It's solid. It's solid state like a battery. Like you could put it in a machine and use it like that. The circuit that I'm using on it, I don't know if I personally can't miniaturize it to make it fit inside the battery properly, but what I've got so far looks pretty okay for a prototype, and we'll see how long it works. Or what's that?
I think I know what you did.
So yeah, it's interesting, and if it works, it might be the next step that all of us need to get into their hands. So you all get this battery, and you can test how long, the charge time, the load time, current, everything. But I don't know. Again, we'll see. I'm waiting on the dry time right now.
Yeah, I mean, trying to get a project ready on a schedule is always a pain, especially when it's something that's, a brand new type of tech and you're waiting for parts to come in.
You're not wrong. That's why I say I'm trying. But I've been working on it for the last little while, and I'm almost done. Now it's testing. But again, it could be a dud just like anything else that's been going on out there. I don't know. One step at a time, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the only way we make our way forward.
But I hate to cut this off, guys, but my family, so to speak, is all getting up and about, and I have to go help put things together, sort of thing. So
no quick call after. You're going to be busy. All right.
What's that?
Said no quick call afterwards.
Yeah, maybe in about a half hour or so.
Cool. Let me know.
Yeah, I will. I'll email you. Is Bernie even around? I guess not, eh?
I'd probably step out for a smoke.
He's making coffee and a smoke, and he left his banana behind. I don't know how anybody could just leave their banana anywhere. I mean, come on, folks.
That's who's running the show right now, the banana.
Well, the world is bananas.
All right,
there it
Gerald.
is.
Well, you have a wonderful day, brother. Thanks for joining in.
Yeah, definitely.
With Woo Wednesday, and you'll be back on Free Energy Friday in collaboration with Mike and his League of Extraordinary Inventors stream that we will be doing. And I look forward to this solid state battery / flux capacitor that you speak of.
That's what we should call it, the flux capacitor.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right,
And the trolls will be out to get you.
Bernie's losing his banana.
He lost his banana.
Oh, I've been bananas a long time. All right, we just monkeying around.
I hear that. All right, thanks for the invite, brother. We'll talk to you guys all real soon.
Let me know in half an hour, G.
Definitely, I'll email you.
Everybody have a blessed day, and it's 3 hours and 36 minutes in. I think it's about time to wrap her up. Any last words, Mr. Mike or Jeremiah, good sirs?
No, I think that's about it. We covered some good stuff.
Absolutely. All right. Well, then I wish you two a wonderful rest of the week, and we'll be back Friday with Free Energy Friday and continue the real science, Adept Alchemy 101, and Mike Faraday with the League of Extraordinary Inventors. Jeremiah Pop, one of them. My friends, we will catch you soon. Thank you, and thanks, Gerald, for joining in. Catch you guys on the next one.
Laser.
If I can ever hit the outro. Peace out, y'all. Have a blessed day. Good luck.